Tall, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening. Kerry, good to see you as well. What up? How you doing? Hey, brother Miles and CMF. Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hey, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's everyone doing today? Hey, CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Moomin, good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, brother? How you doing? Today we have a lot of things on the agenda to go through. A lot of things are happening in the banking world. A lot of things are happening regarding BTC ETFs, BlackRock, new banks, and there's a lot of things happening to go through on tonight's live show. CBDC news, banking news, BTC ETF news, market movement news, Ripple's new file that they sent over, Tether's new movements inside the market space, going and funding into BlackRock. Elizabeth Warren again on the agenda, on the movement she's doing inside the market. So much to go through on tonight's live show. I think it's going to be a bit of a longer live show than usual because there's a lot of things to cover, a lot of areas to cover. Hyper Sniper, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, Miles and Crypto Peeps, good to see you as well. Sampa, how you doing? What's up, brother Miles and CMF? How was your day? It was good. It was a very busy day, but it was good. You hyped the news from today. Let's go. Hi, Miles and CMF. MK, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. Addy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, CMF. Joe's good to see you as well. How you doing? By the way, thank you so much to everyone that's been retweeting this live show right at the beginning of the live show, because it does help to spread this live show right off the bat before we start live show off. So thank you so much to everyone that's been retweeting this live show right at the beginning. Good evening, CMF. Joe's good to see you as well. How you doing? One by one, everyone's tuning in. Let's go. So yeah, as I said, there's a lot of things to cover on tonight's live show. So we'll do the good evening, Miles and CMF. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Give me bull run pump news, mate. Let's go, Kai. A lot of things to cover, and we'll get to the bull run pump news as well. Evening, Miles and CMF. Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? Everyone's tuning in. Let's go. ABT is on the run. Let's go. That's good news as well. Does XRP have any use case? Does XRP have any use case? Yes. Humongous use case. A lot of people, it's too obvious. The use case of XRP is so obvious, a lot of people will miss the ball, is what I would have to say. So, before we start off this live show, as always, welcome to the CMF live show. If you are new, you're watching this for the first time ever. We talk about essentially how the world is evolving into a digital space. We talk about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, and we talk about politics as well, because it all plays in together. We talk about market movements, the Fed reports, and so many other filings that are going on right now inside the crypto space. A lot of things are happening, and a lot of things to go from tonight's live show as well. So if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show. If you're regular, let's go CMF. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So, just the gist of everything we're going to talk about. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, everyone tunes in. So tonight, we're going to be talking about Ripple and their recent filings. And then we're going to move on to Ripple versus SEC a little bit. Then we're going to move on to MicroStrategy and their recent movements in the Bitcoin space. Then we're going to talk about Tether and BlackRock. And then we're going to talk about Tether and chain analysis. And then we're going to be talking about Coinbase's earnings. Then we're going to be talking about Warren, Elizabeth Warren. And then we're going to be talking about BlackRock and their ETF situation. And then we're going to be talking about key developments inside the crypto markets regarding US legislations and BlackRock again. And then we're going to be talking about the new European bank giant that's entering the crypto space, which is also BlackRock's buddy. And I'll tell you how this essentially ties in all together. And then we're going to be talking about the asset management company BlackRock again, and how they've announced major things are coming to the crypto space in the coming months. And then we're going to be talking about Hong Kong bankers and how they're leveraging the Middle East to bring in a lot more money towards their ETFs, about $1 billion more. And then we're going to be talking about Thailand and their CBDCs, which we talked about a very long time ago, but now they're doing the releasements of the first ever fully controllable CBDCs outside of China. Then we're going to be talking about Bank of China and the CBDC reports. And then we're going to talk about 19 other countries and their CBDC essentially situations. And then there's a lot more to cover and there's so much to cover essentially. We're going to be starting off with the Ripple news first. just to get that one out of the way. We're going to start off with the Ripple news, just to get that one out of the way, but it's so much to cover. And if anybody's tuned in right at the beginning of the live show, that's great, because if you tune into the middle of the live show, then you would have to wait at the end of the live show for the gist of the news that we talked about. Now, before we go forward with that, let me just go to the comment section. For some reason, it won't let me tap on the screen to the live. I don't know why that's happening. I'll be honest. Hi, Miles, Hollow CMF, Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing? Case news, yeah, there's a situation going on. Case news, crypto rules and regulation news. Yes, we do have that to go through as well. Hi, brother, how you doing? Good to see you as well, Camel. Phew, that's a lot of news. Yes, it is a lot of news. I'm going to start off with the first one. So if you tune in at the beginning of the CMF live show, you're lucky, because if you tune in at the middle of this live show, you have to wait till the end so I could do the gist of everything we talked about. I can't retweet nor reply to messages. Did X update the Apple Watch? I don't know what's happening, I'll be honest. Some people have retweeted the live show. I don't know, maybe you have to update your app. Maybe that's what's going on. After the XRP news, I'll log out and log back in and see if that helps. Yeah, most likely. I think that would help. So, they changed the way of retweeting, I guess. Maybe. Now, the first news to go from tonight's live show is this. Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. Ripple essentially sends a letter to the court to dismiss the SEC's expert advice. Ripple Labs Inc. has ramped up its court fight with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission SEC by submitting a lengthy letter to substitute its motions initially made on April 22nd, 2024. This motion seeks to eliminate the expert testimony submitted by the SEC that Ripple considers inappropriate. The action by Ripple follows the SEC's opposition letter dated April 29, 2024, in which it defended essentially the admissibility of the testimony and challenged it. Expert testimony and summary evidence. Ripple's main dispute revolves around the declaration of Angela Fox, which it claims to be an expert testimony rather than a mere summary evidence, as contradicted by the SEC. Ripple argues that Fox's declaration applies specialized accounting knowledge to evaluate financial statements and make inferences that surpass basic algorithms. Ripple asserts that this is clearly essentially satisfies the requirements of an expert witness as outlined by federal law of evidence 702A. On the other hand, the SEC contends that Fox was given a planned summary of a large amount of Ripple's financial data, which essentially does not require the substantial expertise typical of an expert witness. They claim that her analysis was mostly basic calculation designed to make the perceptions of the data and not to give expert opinions on financial issues, timelines, and disclosures of disputes. Further important concerns raised by Ripple is the timelines of the Fox declaration. Ripple assumes the SEC's of failing to name Fox as an expert witness in the schedules by the courts, which is done to guarantee that both parties have a period to react on evidence given during the court's appearance. Ripple insists that this intention prevents them from fully conducting a cross-examination and detracting it from fairness of the trial process, essentially as the trial processes. Meanwhile, the SEC opposes this agreement by claiming that Fox did not need documented as an expert, since she was summary witness whose testimony was based on pre-existing records and simple calculations, precedents, and legal interpretations. The reply brief of Ripple refers to a number of cases where courts have stricken declarations similar to Fox's as disclosed expert testimonies disguised as fact summaries. They contend that the prior decisions and in favor of their stance is not priorly classifying and disclosing the nature of the witness testimony can mislead both opposing parties and the courts, thus essentially satisfying the exclusions of such testimonies. The SEC contradicts that this view of the plaintiffs. It compares this case to where admitted without the need for formal, essentially expert disclosures. This stress on the environment and the content of the testimony dictates the requirements of these disclosures. The results of this motion could have serious consequences in the upcoming litigation between Ripple and the SEC. If Ripple manages to get the Fox declaration from the record, it could potentially limit the SEC's ability to argue for specific penalties implied by dispute calculations in Fox's testimony. On the other hand, a successful declaration would reinforce the SEC's case by providing a foundation for its claims against Ripple. Ripple has filed a letter in further to support its April 22nd, 2024 motion to strike new expert materials and in reply to the SEC's April 29th, 2024 position to the motion to strike. So a new letter has just been sent essentially from Ripple's side to get rid of the main expert advice. Now, so the SEC, essentially in the simplest form, the SEC involved somebody by the name of Angela Fox. Now, she claims, or the SEC claims, that she's just a person that's giving some sort of an opinion. However, Ripple is arguing that she's giving factual opinions. and her opinion, essentially, some sort of evidence opinions. But the SEC is, trying to blag it out as, no, she's just somebody that's just giving an opinion. These aren't financial opinions or any sort of a way. It's just a normal opinion. Now, or expert opinion. If Ripple is successful to get her off the case, then the SEC pretty much has no grounds to fight on. And essentially, the SEC will be standing on one leg moving forward, which means it's a much more closer target to Ripple's 10 million than the SEC's 2 billion of a random price that came in out of nowhere. So that's what's happening right now with Ripple's new letter that they sent in. So if the judge weighs in favor of Ripple Labs and gets rid of Andrew Fox's testimony, the SEC is pretty much standing on one leg moving forward, because a big chunk of their case has just disappeared off the table. And if the judge goes in favor of the SEC, then the SEC is going to be standing on two legs moving forward, and it could weigh in more on the SEC side regarding price points of what the penalty is going to be in between. Now, moving a little bit forward is this. Ripple versus SEC response on May 6 could seal the course of the case. So this came straight after that. It's a two-part article. The first part was that. This is the second part. Ripple versus SEC. Response on May 6 could seal the course of this case. In a recent development in the crypto community, the ongoing legal case involving Ripple Labs and the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, could seal a definite course next week. Recently, the XRP community has been anticipating the regulatory body will submit a brief response by May 6, next Monday, in response to the company's opposition to the SEC's request for a fine of approximately $2 billion US dollars. After the recent developments, no process, the US regulators expected to submit its comments regarding Ripple's opposition by May 6. There is some speculation from the market experts regarding the actions of the SEC in persisting a tireless pursuit of punitive and injective, essentially, arguments, thereby restricting the company from engaging in further institutional sales of their native token XRP. On April 29th, the regulator made his presentation related to the opposition and Ripple's motion seeking to eliminate the new SEC specialized materials, which was for Andrew Fox. These documents are expected to be the final presentation before Judge Alice Torres ruling on Ripple's penalty for selling XRP to institutional sales. It is worth remembering that the recently Ripple opposed essentially the SEC's $2 billion US dollar fine proposals. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stewart, highlighted that the company's opposition to the SEC order has been made public. The giant Ripple presented its opposition to the request of the US SEC for the company to pay a $1 billion fine, or around $2 billion fines. The company filed a court document essentially on April 22nd. Last month, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) set its sights on a whopping $2 billion fine. Now they're requesting this from Ripple Labs, and May 6 is going to become very crucial. This bold move announced by Ripple's chief legal officer Stewart marked yet another chapter on the ongoing confrontations between regulators and crypto entities. Stewart recently announced that the company's opposition to the SEC's order has been made public. Our opposition to the SEC call for $2 billion in fines for legacy and institutional sales is now public. In a case they had no allegations or findings of reckless or fraud, and in which Ripple prevailed on the significant issues. The SEC order is just a further proof of its continued bullying of all cryptocurrencies inside the United States. We remain confident that the judge will approach this final phase of the solution fairly, he wrote on a post. This came from Stewart, which was essentially Ripple's head of legals. And even according to Stewart as well, this is pretty much the endings of the case regarding Ripple versus SEC moving forward, which is good. I mean, May 6th is going to be quite crucial on, what's going to be coming out. Is May 6th going to be case closed? Most likely not. But May 6th is still going to be a very crucial moment inside of this case. But again, it is coming from Stewart, who is Ripple's essentially legals. So that's good news. It's coming from a person that their opinion counts in this matter, because I've had a lot of lawyers giving out their opinions on what they think of this matter, but the only man that does really count is Stewart from Ripple's side, not the other lawyers that are just weighing in their opinions. Now, before we go on to the next news, there's a lot of news to cover. The next one we're going to be going through is MicroStrategy and their new Bitcoin decentralized ID system. Let's go to the comment section. Nick Beamer, what's up, brother? How you doing, Nick? How you been? I can't retweet nor replying to messages. Did X update the app or what? I think maybe you have to update the app. That's a bit odd. After the XRP news, I'll log on. Yep, they changed the way of retweeting. For me, it's the same. Evening, pure courtesy is how you do. It's not letting me tap on the screen. The format is totally different. That's a bit odd. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Some people are starting to like and retweet the live show. I think maybe some people, their apps are updated. Some CMF members, their apps are updated, and some others aren't. Shelly, good to see you as well. Morning. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and forever. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning, Shelly, is what Ian said. Hi, free and forever. Hi to all our family on X2. Let's go, Shelly. A warm evening to you, Miles. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, CMF family. Liam, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Hello, Miles and CMF Coin. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Do you personally think the case will be over in May? Possibility, not guaranteed in any sort of way. I heard the Rothschilds family have a big holding of XRP. Yes, very long time ago that news dropped. Yes, but everything essentially inside the corporate sector is coordinated to happen. Nothing is a surprise to any of these institutions. Good evening, Professor Miles and the rest of the crew. Let's go, funky brother. How you doing? Perfect time because we're about to go through the next news of this live show, which is this one. MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy unveils Orange, a Bitcoin BTC-powered decentralized ID system. MicroStrategy launches a groundbreaking decentralized identity system. MicroStrategy's Orange, leveraging the Bitcoin network's robust security and decentralization features. MicroStrategy's bold move into Bitcoin-powered DIDs. MicroStrategy Orange is engineered to utilize the Bitcoin network's robust security and decentralization features by incorporating a modified version of the O'Donnell's inscriptions methods. This method involves embedding data within the Bitcoin blockchain's transaction outputs. Unlike traditional blockchain-based identity solutions that depends on a side chain or some other situations regarding their networks, Orange operates directly within the Bitcoin blockchain. MicroStrategy's Orange, a new landscape for digital identity. And this is, again, word for word, that just came out of MicroStrategy. This is exactly what they said, word for word, from MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy Orange aims to redefine the landscape of digital identity by harnessing an untampered security and widespread recognition of the Bitcoin network. Stated Michael Saylor. This system adheres to the latest standards set forth by the W3C's Decentralized Identifiers DID specification, ensuring that the digital identities are trustless, tamper-proof, and have a long relying solely on the public Bitcoin blockchain for data retrieval and storage. Technical backbone of MicroStrategy Orange. The technical backbone of MicroStrategy Orange is built around three main components: the Orange service, the Orange SDK, and the various Orange applications. The Orange services acts as a primary platform for issuing DIDs, the identity, which are unique digital identifiers that provide a way to verify a holder's identity without revealing any personal data. This service could be practically transformative for sectors requiring high trust but minimal data disclosures, such as finance and healthcare. Orange SDK and applications. The Orange SDK provides developers with tools necessary to essentially integrate the decentralized identity capabilities of Orange into existing applications. One of the first applications developed using this SDK is Orange for Outlook, which integrates digital signature verifications to confirm the authenticity of the email senders. This application illustrates how Orange SDK can be employed to bolster the security and trust in everyday digital communications. Conclusion. The launch of Orange comes at a time when MicroStrategy reported a $53.1 million net loss for the first quarter of the year. However, this financial report does not reflect the substantial appreciation in the market value of the company's Bitcoin holdings. Looking forward, MicroStrategy forays into decentralized identity solutions represents a significant pivot in the business strategy, utilizing its substantial Bitcoin resources to innovate beyond mere cryptocurrency investments. The potential integration of digital identities with a verifiable credential ecosystem opens up numerous possibilities for user verifications across platforms. That is what MicroStrategy essentially has created for the Bitcoin network. The Bitcoin network from MicroStrategy is now going to be able to have unique IDs for everybody, but it's going to be a privacy ID, not a public type of situation ID. It's on a public blockchain because it is Bitcoin, but it's a private ID type of situation where nobody has access to your private data, but they can identify who you are for transactions and for messaging, essentially back and forward. Now, MicroStrategy is aiming this towards institutions and healthcare departments on the Bitcoin network. This will definitely create a massive adoption for the Bitcoin network. And it is something that essentially MicroStrategy or Michael Saylor did talk about a while ago, a long time ago, regarding they're building major things on the Bitcoin network, big things are coming to the Bitcoin network, and they turned their entire company into a Bitcoin company. We can see what they were working on now. It's called Orange, and it's the next big thing on Bitcoin's network from MicroStrategy. Now, before we go to the next news, we're going to go to the comment section. If you have any comments as well, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. The next news we're going to talk about on tonight's live show is Tether makes landmark $200 million investment in BlackRock's Neurotech, pioneering human technology interference. Those are two names or three words you never want to hear next to each other. BlackRock, Tether, and a nanochip for your brain. Three words nobody wants to hear next to each other. But that's the news. The next news we're going to be talking about tonight's live show. But before we do that, let me go to the comment section. Just to see. Hello, brother. Any good news on XRP? Thank you, Abel. We talked about it right at the beginning. We were on Ripple Labs and XRP, the news that we talked about at the beginning. But at the end of the live show, as always, I'll do a gist of everything we talked about. For anybody that tuned in late, good evening, Miles and CMF. Urfing, good to see you. How you doing? The app glitches when you tap, nothing comes up. Interesting. People don't forget to opt out of the NHS data grab. Yep, definitely until July. I'm a very private person, so I guess I will give Orange a miss. I'll give Orange a miss. Fair enough. Now, the next news we're going to talk about is this one. Tether. Tether makes a landmark $200 million investment in BlackRock for Neurotech, pioneering human technology interference. Tether, the entity behind the renowned Tether stablecoin, recently underwent significant restructuring, accumulating in substantial investment moves. On April 29th, Tether revealed a strategic infusion of $200 million into BlackRock's Neurotech, effectively securing a majority stake in the neural implant company. This investment marked the venture of Tether Evo, is what they're calling it, a fresh division concentrating on the convergence of human potential and technology. Established in 2008, BlackRock Neurotech stands as a trailblazer in human brain computer interference (BCI) technology, renowned for its cutting-edge interferences. So it turns out, Elon Musk and his neurochip or nanochip is what he's creating is not the only person inside of this category. BlackRock has something up their sleeves as well regarding a neurochip. The company is dedicated to aiding millions worldwide affected by paralysis and neurological disorders hindering basic functions. BlackRock's Neurotech groundbreaking brain interference technology has empowered patients to control robotic arms, navigate wheelchairs, communicate, browse the internet, and even drive vehicles using their thoughts. Who saw that one coming? I mean, we've seen Elon Musk. Elon Musk is progressing quite well on his neurochip. But BlackRock's neurotechnology is driving your car using your thoughts, is what BlackRock's neurotech brain chip does. Using your thoughts, driving your car. In a notable instance in 2016, patient Nathan Campold made headlines by utilizing BlackRock's BCI to interact with a robotic arm, accumulating a fist bump with then US President Barack Obama. Tether's $200 million investment aims to bolster the commercialization and implementation of medical solutions already benefiting over 40 individuals. Additionally, the investment will fuel advancements in research and development, ensuring BlackRock's Neurotech remains a key player in the BCI landscape with a steadfast focus on human advancements. Paolo Angelo, the CEO of Tether, envisions BlackRock's Neurotech as a merely inception of Tether's Evo missions to champion projects that redefine technological boundaries in enhancing human potential. He stated BlackRock's Neurotech represents a leap towards a future where technology not only complements but enhances our human experience, and we at Tether are proud to begin this journey with them. Florence Scotia, the co-founder of BlackRock's Neurotech, emphasized the company's long-term commitment to restoring functions in individuals, understanding the necessities of dedicated and visionary partners. He expressed gratitude towards Tether's, highlighting their shared vision in fostering technological innovations for the betterment of the humanity. This announcement follows Tether's introduction of 4 new business divisions on April 18, signaling its diversified focus across Tether Data, Tether Finance, Tether Power, and Tether Education. Tether is expanding into all types of categories now. They're moving away from the stablecoin category to Tether Investments, Tether Education, Tether Data, Tether Power, Tether Finance. They've got a lot of deployments going on right now in Tether. Now, before we go to the next news, the next news we talk about tonight's live show is this: Tether Chainlinks. Tether and chain analysts roll out USDT monitoring solutions to counter illicit transactions. So Tether and Chainlinks are going to be coming together to be able to freeze crypto wallets using Tether. Is the next news we talk about tonight's live show. But before we do that, let's go to the comment section. But who would have thought, sooner or later you're going to be able to drive your cars using your thoughts with BlackRock's Neuro chip. So we had Elon Musk chip, now we have BlackRock's chip. Would anybody trust either one inside of their brains as an implant? Is the real question. Would you trust BlackRock's Neuro chip, or would you trust Elon Musk's, or neither? Is also an option. Have you been through the XRP news? Yes, right at the beginning of the live show. But at the end of the live show, as always, we'll go through the gist of everything we talked about. Hi, Miles. The sheep feel the wolves when it's shepherd that decides. Yeah, facts. Were you speaking of Orange SA Telecom? No, not Orange SA Telecom. No. Orange is the name, essentially, what MicroStrategy has given their new project. Tether are just clenching straws to legalize their company so that the SEC will not come after them, which is a good comment from Funky. So Funky Brother just made a very good comment, because his comment relates to the next news I'm going to be reading out. And the only way they can do this is if they plant something in your brain that communicates with technology. Need some good news? We'll get into the good news. Hell no, I trust God who created my brain. Let's go, Funky Brother. Fair enough. Fair point. Haven't the UK just passed the law that they can spy on your bank accounts? Yes, they have. Up to a certain extent. Well, actually, no, it didn't get fully passed, to be fair. None of them. I'm 100% human being. Let's go. And Kai, we're going to get to the good news. There's a lot of good news on the way as well inside the markets. A lot of news to cover, but we're also going to get to the good news. There's a lot of good things happening inside the crypto market as well. A lot of progress has been made, but we'll get to it. And regarding Funky Brother, freeze. Am I freezing? Am I back? Regarding Funky Brother, what he said, Tether are just clenching straws to legalize their company so the SEC will not come after them, is true because of this. Tether and chain analysts roll out USDT monitoring solutions to counter illicit transactions. Tether has announced a collaboration with blockchain analyst firm Chainalysis to develop a customizable solution for monitoring secondary market activities. The monitoring solution developed by Chainalysis will enable Tether to systematically monitor transactions and gain enhanced understandings and oversights of the USDT market. It will also serve as a proactive source on-chain intelligence for Tether compliance professionals and investigators, helping them to identify wallets that may pose a risk or may be associated with illicit and or sanctioned addresses. Key components of the solution include sanctions monitoring, which provides a detailed list of addresses and transactions involving sanctioned entities and categorizations of which enables a thorough breakdown of USDT holders by type, including exchanges and darknet markets. This system also offers largest wallets and the analysis, providing in-depth examination of significant USDT holders and their activities, and illicit transfers, essentially a detector which is intangible to identifying transactions potentially associated with illicit activities like T financing, so illicit activities on group financing, for example. Cryptocurrencies is a transparent and harnessing the transparency to partner with law enforcement and freeze criminal funds. This is word for word what Tether has just came out and said. Tether and essentially Chainalysis. Cryptocurrencies is transparent, and harnessing that transparency to partner with law enforcement and freeze criminal funds is the best way to deter its use for illicit activities or scams, shares Jonathan, the co-founder and chief strategy officer at Chainalysis. This move comes aimed mounting pressure on stablecoins and digital assets, with global regulators eyeing these for their potential role in international sanctions and facilitating illicit financing. As the most popular stablecoin with over $110 billion in circulations, USDT has faced increasing scrutiny from regulatory authorities. Tether claims that the partnership will enable it to enhance compliance measures. The stablecoin, which is pegged to the US dollar and backed by primary US bonds treasuries, is managed by Wall Street trading house Cantor Fitzgerald. Tether remains steadfast. This is word for word what the CEO of Tether has just said. Tether remains steadfast in its dedication to upholding the highest standards of integrity, and this collaboration reinforces our proactive approach to safeguarding our ecosystems against illicit activities, shares Tether CEO Paulo. Now, Tether is only doing this, again, basically what Funky Brother just said inside the comment section, that Tether are just clenching straws to legalize their company so that the SEC will not come after them. There's a lot of dodgy things going on in Tether where they're not being fully transparent with anybody. And the US doesn't like it that Tether is the number one stablecoin because they're a private entity that don't operate inside the US markets. So there are, a scenario of where Tether's days are completely numbered, if you really think about it, because one, the US has no control of the biggest stablecoin inside the crypto market, which is USDT, which is the US dollars inside of a crypto market, and the US has no control of it. That is bad. So I do see a scenario where Tether's days are numbered, and I do see a scenario where Tether is going to get pushed out of the crypto markets, the same way Binance got pushed out and Coinbase started to replace its position. I mean, it does show the amount of transactions happening inside the United States. Coinbase went shooting up and Binance went shooting down regarding transactions inside the United States. And also Binance, day by day, less countries want to work with Binance, and day by day, Coinbase keeps on getting new licensings in different countries. Canada, for example, can't operate with Binance, but recently Canada gave the green light to Coinbase. You see where I'm going with this, and Canada's not the only one. And the only reason Tether is partnering up with chain analysts to build this detector system that can detect if a crypto wallet is doing illicit activities and they can stop it in the transactions is because they're trying to create this good guy image of Tether and USDT. But America still doesn't care about that scenario. Now, a recent report from Reuters suggests that for example, a recent report from Reuters suggests that Venezuela's state-run oil company has been using USDT to bypass US sanctions, while the United Nations report from January highlighted the stablecoin's alleged role in undergoing banking and money laundering in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Notably, Tether has worked with 124 law enforcement agencies across 43 global jurisdictions to address concerns on the stablecoins used to illicit activities. The interesting part is Tether's working with 43 global jurisdictions, 124 law enforcements, and still it's the number one cryptocurrency used for illicit activities. How? We'll leave that question to Tether. Now, before we go on to the next news we talk about is, ironically, Coinbase. Coinbase's quarter one earnings jumped to $1.3 billion as transactions revenues. So Coinbase is doing incredibly well, while Binance is stable, let's say. But before we read out the next news, we're going to go for the comment section as usual. If you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. Be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. I think there's a potential to help people down the track who are paralyzed or blind, etc., but not to drive a car. Won't be going into my brain. Fair enough regarding what Shelley said. So the previous news I read out was regarding BlackRock. BlackRock has this neurotech company where they're creating brain chips that you can use your emotion, you can use your thoughts to drive your car, is what BlackRock is working on. And not new, but since 2008, BlackRock has been working with this venture of creating this neurochip that you can, implant into your brain, and using your thoughts, you can move your arm, move your legs, and even drive your car. Is what we talked about before this news, which is why Shelley has just said in the comment section, is I think there's a potential to help people down the track who are paralyzed or blind, etc., but not to drive a car. Won't be going in my brain. Fair enough. BlackRock and others can stick the chip where the sun don't shine, is what Funky Brother said. Does this XRP, does this mean that XRP is going to moon? Well, we're going to get to that. Good evening, Miles of CMF. Dave, good to see you. How you doing? Hello, CMF. No Drift, good to see you. How you doing? Ian, good to see you. Let's go. And Kai, we're going to get to the good news. We're getting there. We're nearly there. The next news we talk about on tonight's live show is this. Coinbase's quarter 1 earnings jump to $1.6 billion as transaction revenue soar. Coinbase had a bumper, essentially first quarter, reporting $1.6 billion in revenue, an increase of 72% from the previous quarter, the company said after today's closing bell. The company also reported a huge swing in net income, registering of $1.18 billion for the quarter compared to a loss of $79 million in the same period last year. Coinbase also generated $1.01 billion in EBITDAs, earnings of $4.04 per share, beat the consensus estimates of $1.15 per share, according to MarketWatch data. This is what was said by Coinbase, word for word. First quarter results reflect our investments in product expansions, continued operations, discipline, and strong market conditions, the company said in its earnings statements. Our market share in the US spot and derivatives increased. We reached all-time highs on Coinbase Prime, and USDC market capitalization increased. Coinbase's first quarter revenue for 2024 was also an increase of about 115% when compared to the same period of the previous years. Overall transaction revenues rose for both consumers and institutional clients. Well, we understand why for both of them that happened, but I'll get to that, and totaled $1 billion for the quarter. Institutional transactions revenue grew by 113% from the previous quarter from essentially $85 million. The reason why Coinbase is doing extremely well is because of something I said, and a lot of other members from the CMF, which is this live show, said in 2023, when they took out Binance from his position. When they took out Binance from his position, it opens up space for a competitor. Obviously, the competitor to Binance is going to be a US company, Coinbase. Now, the reason why Coinbase is doing well is because, one, their main competitor is out of the scene, and day by day, things are getting a little bit strict for Binance operating different jurisdictions. The news keeps on coming out. Binance gets restricted. Binance is getting removed from the App Store. Binance is getting removed from the Google Play Store, and so on, different jurisdictions. And on the other hand, Coinbase is opening more doors for themselves. Go figures. Now, regarding the 113% increase from institutional investors, well, because the majority of the subsidiaries is coming from the Bitcoin ETFs, which is really helping Coinbase to grow and bluster. And obviously, one of their main ones is BlackRock regarding their BTC ETFs. And regarding their retail, consumer section that's growing day by day, the reason why the consumer section in Coinbase is growing day by day again is because Binance is out of the picture inside the US markets. And it's something that I said a very long time ago. I said Coinbase one day. I didn't say overnight. I didn't say in a few months. I didn't say in 1 year's time. I said one day Coinbase will become the #1 crypto exchange. Why? Because it's an American institution. Some people might laugh at that. And some people think, oh, that's not true. Well, look at who's behind Coinbase. Just look at who's behind Coinbase and you'll get a bigger picture of what's going on. But one day, Coinbase, I said, will become the #1 crypto exchange out there. And Binance will be taken out of the picture, essentially, is what I said. A long time ago, I said this. And we can see where Binance is headed day by day. And I'm not happy about that news in any sort of a way. But that's just how the market works. And I said that, they'll take out Binance and so on, which they have, and $4 billion fine, replace everyone inside Binance and so on. Everybody knows the story by now regarding Binance. I preferred Binance. I still, CZ, legend, absolute legend. But that's just how the world works. Coinbase is an alright platform as well. So, that's why Coinbase is doing very well, and on the other hand, the other ones aren't doing too well. Now, the next news we're going to talk about on tonight's live show is this. Warren calls for action against Iran's booming Bitcoin mining industry. Is the next news we talk about. Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, has came out and said Iran is not allowed to mine Bitcoin because they're doing it too well. That's the next news we talk about on tonight's live show. And they said they're using it for illicit activities. But before we do that, let me go to the comment section to see if there's any comments before we go for the next news. So, Miles, A CEO said 30 to 50 trillion goes into XRP ledger. Did you see it? Yes, I think I know which one you talk about. Them thoughts that what mean no free will. Yeah, basically. How many banks did Japan say will be using XRP by the end of 2024? Go and check out SBI Holdings and how many affiliates they have. It should give you a better perspective on the exact number of banks. But go and check out. So just use Copilot, for example. Use Copilot, the AI. It gives you ChatGPT 4 for free. So ask Copilot, SBI Holdings, how many banks are they affiliated with? And it'll give you a rough number. Brother Miles, as you have always said about everything, is calculated, and where there is money, it's always politics. Exactly. Facts. What Funky Buddha has just said. Brother Miles, as you have always said about everything, is calculated in the corporate sector, and where there is money, there's always politics. Facts. Politics always is involved in any sort of market scenarios. Always. A lot of people don't like politics, but if you want to be in the money scene, if you want to be in the market scene, you've got to understand politics. It's crucial, very crucial. The next comment is, if you control the narrative, you control the rest. Facts. They bring down Binance and uplift Coinbase, so much politics and BS. Pretty much. Just heard about a plane to connect Malaysia to Singapore costing $3 billion. Didn't the UAE give him citizenship? Yeah, the UAE did give him citizenship, but he's not allowed to leave the United States. Will banks in Japan start in 2024? Won't they start in 2025 using XRP ledger? Well, it depends. If SBI Holdings, everything is coordinated inside the corporate. I'm from the corporate sector, and I'm telling you, I've always told everybody, everything is coordinated inside the corporate sector. So nothing just happens randomly inside the corporate sector. It surprises the corporations. These corporations sometimes act surprised, but in reality, they're the ones pulling the strings for things to happen. Behind politicians, behind company launches, behind everything. They just act surprised sometimes, but they're the ones actually pulling the strings from behind the scenes. So if it's planned to be 2024, because the case is dropping and so on and so on, then it's going to be 2024. But if it's not, it's going to be beginning of 2025. Hi, Miles and family, NXRP news, please. Yes, Solomon, at the beginning of the live show, we went through the Ripple news, but we're going to get to some more good news as well as we go along. Now, but the next news is Warren calls for action against Iran's booming Bitcoin mining industry. Now, it's a bit interesting on this one because US Senator Elizabeth Warren is calling on the Biden administration to tackle Iran's burgeoning cryptocurrency mining operations. The country is leveraging these profitable Bitcoin ventures to evade international sanctions, is what essentially Senator Elizabeth Warren is saying, that Iran is using Bitcoin to avoid sanctions. Bitcoin mining. Iran's crypto operations a national security threat. In a letter sent to the Secretaries of the Treasury and Defense, as well as the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Warren argued that Iran crypto activity posed a direct threat to national security. And she asked the administration to detail Iran's resilience on crypto mining as a revenue source and method to bypass sanctions. According to Warren, Iran has generated millions of dollars through mining cryptocurrencies. This steady revenue stream enables the country to purchase imports, transfer funds domestically and internationally, and finance organizations such as the H Group, essentially. Iran's Bitcoin revenue and global crypto adoption risks. From 2015 to 2021, Iran's Bitcoin mining platforms have reportedly accumulated substantial revenue, earning $186 million from their operations in Iran regarding Bitcoin minings. Warren has consistently cautioned US officials about the risks associated with widespread global cryptocurrency adoption. This week, she also argued lawmakers to address Russia's use of cryptocurrencies to defy international actions against the country. Okay, just one question to Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Iran has been, by the way, if anybody's watching this for the first time, I'm Persian myself, so I'm from Iran myself, so I'm Persian, so I can give a perspective of Iran. Anybody else can also give a perspective of Iran if they want to, so anybody's more than welcome to give a perspective. But let me give you a perspective on what's actually going on down there. Iran's been avoiding sanctions for 45 years, pretty much. Iran's been avoiding sanctions for 45 years or more, or 40 years plus, using the US dollar. That's not an issue to Elizabeth Warren. So Iran avoiding sanctions using the US dollar is okay. They've been doing it for over 40 years. How do you think Iran's operating for over 40 years? They use the US dollar. to avoid sanctions, funny enough. But when Iran starts using Bitcoin, that's when the alarms go off in Elizabeth Warren's head. That this is wrong. How can Iran be using essentially, Bitcoin to avoid sanctions? This is why cryptocurrencies are bad, because Iran's using Bitcoin to avoid sanctions. Do you see how double-sided politics is? I'm not saying Iran's in the right or Iran's in the wrong or so on and so on. But what I am saying is Iran's been avoiding sanctions for about 40 plus years using the US dollar. Not a big issue because they're using the US dollar. But the moment they start using Bitcoin to avoid sanctions, all of a sudden, big issue for Elizabeth Warren. Anything to just make cryptocurrencies look bad is what Senator Elizabeth Warren does. She just jumps on the bandwagon. Anything to make crypto look bad. She doesn't care about the history. She doesn't care about the past. She doesn't care about what's been happening behind the scenes for 40 plus years, using US dollars to sanction, avoid sanctions. But the moment they jump on cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin to avoid a little bit of sanctions as well, so all of a sudden, big headlines for Elizabeth Warren. This is why crypto's bad. So it's not bad when they're using the US dollar, but it's bad when they're using Bitcoin for avoiding sanctions. Interesting one there. Honestly, I would do circles around politicians. I would do circles around Elizabeth Warren. I would do circles around politicians. It's just funny. Every time you hear anything about politicians, too comedy. Now, before we go to the next news is crypto-friendly reps is what we're talking about. Crypto-friendly. This is when things are now getting interested. Okay, so this is when things are now getting interested on this live show, which is this one. Crypto-friendly reps, Nickel and Flood urge SEC to give the green. Actually, after this one, but essentially urge the green light to urge the SEC to give a green light to BTC spot. Is the next news we'll be talking about tonight's live show. But before we do that, let me just start a conversation just in case. Some questions there. Hi, Miles and family. At the beginning of the live show, we talked about it. So, beginning of 2025, when Japan use XRP, the price has to be high price, or can it be $20, or does it need to be very higher? It depends on the adoption rate. Could be higher, could be lower, could be at that price point. Miles, I heard Iran's dinar will be valued a lot in the near future due to BRICS nations. Doubtful. Iran's, as I said, I'm Persian, and the Iranian government, I prefer the king. I prefer the Shah of the Iranian. So I prefer the royal family rather than this Iranian regime. I prefer the royal family of Iran, the Shah and everybody else. And the government of Iran have devalued Iran as a country. They have no respect for the people. The Iranian government have no respect for the Iranian people, have no respect for the currency, have no respect for anything in Iran. And they're not even Iranian. That's the worst part. The Iranian government, the actual Iranian government, they're not even Iranian themselves. A lot of people don't know this either, but they're not actually Iranian. They were put there, but Iran's currency, is an equivalent to toilet paper. As I have said before, there is a million ways to lose you. Have to understand the game you are in. Yes, facts. Politics can't handle the truth, Miles. Basically, facts. Politics is, basically. But I prefer the king. The king of Iran, the royal family of Iran. I don't like this Iranian government at all. I've never liked them. They have no respect for people. The Iranian people. They have zero respect for Iranian people. The Iranian government. Now, putting that to one side. Crypto-friendly reps. Crypto-friendly reps, Nickel and Flood, urge the SEC to give the green light to options on spot Bitcoin ETFs. Reps Willie Nickel, the DNC, and Mike Flood, RNAB, essentially went to the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to approve the listings and tradings of options on spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, aimed at delays. In a letter sent to the SEC, Chairman Gary Gensler on Wednesday, the two lawmakers pointed out the agency's essentially January approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs. And I'm back. That was a bit odd. Can everybody see me and hear me? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you can see me and hear me. Hello to all listening on X. Now I'm on. Let's go. Troy, how you doing? Where are you? Where are you? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, we're back. We're back. You're back, Miles. Let's go. The time Shah was running the country, Western people used to apply for a job in Iran because of more earnings and more opportunities. Facts, what Chilzones has just said. Absolute facts. Let's go. JR, you can see me. Let's go. Troy, you can see me. Carol, you can see me. Queen, you can see me. Ian, you can see me. Nick, you can see me. Let's go. Okay, we are back. Yes, good. Susie replied yes. Susie can see me as well. Brilliant. Let's go. Shelly, you can see me as well. Let's go. Okay, so as I was saying before that sudden breakout happened on the live show, what do you think is going to be happening on May 6th? Some crucial things are going to be happening on May 6th, but we have to see what the SEC is going to be coming out with on May 6th, essentially. You probably shit. Water bottle. Apologies about that. It's a glass one. You probably shouldn't have said that, Miles. Lol. Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, Shelly, I think you're right. Interesting enough. Now, I think yeah, you were right, Shelly. But Troy, let's go. As I was saying before the blackout situation happened, regarding BTC options, spot options, ETPs. So they're really trying to get the SEC approving, this scenario regarding spot Bitcoin ETPs. So this is what they said. We urge you without delay to either approve options on spot Bitcoin ETPs or to provide an explanation for the Commission's differences in treatment between options for Bitcoin futures for options for Bitcoin futures ETFs and ETPs, which are currently trading as options for spot Bitcoin ETPs. Representatives Flood and Nickel wrote. The two members of the Congress previously wrote a letter in September with other lawmakers urging Chairman Gary Gensler, to approve spot Bitcoin ETFs. Over the past few months, the SEC has delayed deciding whether to allow listings and tradings of spot Bitcoin ETFs options. Multiple exchanges, including Cboe Exchange Inc., Box Exchange LLC, Mix International Securities Exchange LLC, Nasdaq ISE LLC, and New York NYSE American LLC have since filed to allow options trading on the newly approved spot Bitcoin ETFs. Is there a difference, is what they're asking to the SEC. The SEC's eventual approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs earlier this year was pushed in a party by ruling over the summer by 3 judges in DC court that decided that the SEC had to re-review the Grayscale's bid for spot Bitcoin ETFs after the assessment asset management firm sued the agency last year following the rejections of the plan to the conversions of the flagships of the GBTC funds. Now, the judge said that at that time that the SEC's denial of Grayscale's proposal for the spot Bitcoin ETFs was arbitrary and because of the Commission's failed to explain its differences treatments of similar products. Reps Nickel and Flood pointed to the rulings calling the SEC's delay in approving options on spot Bitcoin ETFs a similar situation. It has almost been 2 months since the NYSE applied for their listings of options on spot Bitcoin ETFs, they wrote. In a case of Bitcoin futures ETFs, the SEC permitted options to be listed and began trading the very next day. Why the difference in treatment? So essentially they're asking, what is the difference? Why can we have Bitcoin ETFs, but we can't have the futures options or the spot options on other exchanges? What they're asking the SEC. Now, this is coming from essentially the government. This is coming from lawmakers sending letters to the SEC and Gary Gensler to, widen the range on Bitcoin, which is a good idea because there's good adoption. Now, this is when we start getting interesting. This is what we're waiting for. Now, as I go along, the news is just going to get more interesting. At the beginning, until now, was still very interesting, especially with the BlackRock controlling your thoughts and so on. But as we go along, things are about to get very interesting, very heated on this live show as well. Regarding key developments in crypto and US legislation is the next part of this live show we'll talk about. And then it just gets better and better and better as we go along. So, you look Turkish. Nothing against that, but no, I'm full Iranian. I'm full Persian. I'm from, actually, I'm not going to say what part of Iran I'm from, but I'm full Persian. Full Iranian, in other words. Hey there, Troy. This is what Ian said. See the prison we live in currently? Cartridge E. Cartridge E. Miles, I still have a picture of Gary Gensler on my dartboard, although you cannot recognize him. It's an interesting one there, Funky. Now, I just wanted to see what the comment section was before we read this up. Now, again, this is quite interesting. Key developments. Key developments in crypto and US legislation. A lot of things are happening inside the crypto space. And this is when we talked about the market movements now. Cryptocurrency exchange Bitfinex analyst suggests that Bitcoin prices may consolidate for about 2 months following the halving event. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF fund experienced its first day of trading, recording a joint record outflows with other ETF funds. So apparently, BlackRock is having outfund situations going on. That's an interesting one. So why is BlackRock having outfunds? We're going to get to that as well. But let me just read on. Meanwhile, a proposed bill threatens to change the taxation of US crypto networks. Here are the 3 significant developments from the last 24 hours. Comments from Bitfinex analysts on Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency exchange Bitfinex analysts say that Bitcoin could experience price consolidation for about 2 months. The latest edition of the Bitfinex Alpha Market report indicates that Bitcoin could continue to be a reference for the price movements in the crypto market in May and a leading indicator for the entire cryptocurrency market value. So everything's still going to be following Bitcoin in May as well. According to a report, the macroeconomics environment is more resilient than in previous years, and the likelihood of an interest rate could remain low in short term. Additionally, analysts stated that compared to previous crypto market cycles, general consumers and businesses are better prepared. So compared to historic market patterns, this time around, businesses and the consumer markets, essentially the retail section and the corporate section, are a lot more prepared. They should be. Are better prepared and informed about the state of the basic economy. As a result, we believe we could see a 1 to 2 month consolidation of Bitcoin's price and trading within a range of up and down of $10,000, which we've had an up and down of $10,000 so far. Now, dark day for ETF funds. The United States spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds reported record net outflows and BlackRock fund also experienced the first day of trading. The iShares Bitcoin Trust IBIT saw an outflow. I mean, this is not ridiculous in any sort of a way, but it's opening up space for something. And I'll explain what that something is. I'll tell you why BlackRock is opening up space. The iShares Bitcoin Trust IBIT saw an outflow of $36.9 million on May 1st. A total of $526.8 million was withdrawn from 9 other Bitcoin ETF funds. So altogether, well, just BlackRock has essentially had an outflow of $36.9 million, which is nothing for BlackRock's ETF because they got billions stashed inside of it. But $36.9 million has outflowed out of BlackRock May 1st. And about 526.8 million in total with 9 other ETFs altogether. 9 ETFs, split between them, let's say 526.8 million, which is still not major. Now, Hashtag's Bitcoin ETF DeFi was the only platform with zero flow, while Fidelity Wise Origin Fund had the largest outflows with $191.1 million. Bloomberg ETF analyst James has also been quite correct on the market spaces, just like Eric has from Bloomberg, noted that Bitcoin ETF funds still operate smoothly in all areas and inflows and outflows are a part of the life of an ETF fund, which is a fair point. You've got to have ups and downs in any sort of market space. No market can continue going up and no market can continue going down. Otherwise, what's the point of a market space? Now, noteworthy step inside the United States. United States Congress members draw essentially a Republican from Georgia and Willie Nickel, a Democrat from North Carolina, proposed a new bill that would tax block rewards from proof of work and proof of stake networks when sold, not when received. named the Tax Clarity of Crypto, essentially Crypto Assets Act. The new legislation would declare staking rewards as a property created under US tax laws and tax related to block rewards would be collected at the time of purchase. Nico described the current rules as overly complex, leading to investors' confusion, double taxation, and the relocation of American businesses overseas. This is what's happened in the past 24 hours. Regarding the ridiculous US law on taxations, trying to do double tax on crypto, essentially minings, which is ridiculous. But let's go back to the outflow regarding IBIT. So BlackRock has had an outflow. Could it be that BlackRock and the rest of the 9 ETFs that had an outflow, but not ridiculous outflow, but had an outflow, are opening up space? Because sometimes institutions open up space for their buddies. You see, when BlackRock sells, the market listens. When Fidelity sells, the market listens. And when everybody else regarding the 9 ETFs sell, the market listens. Creates a little bit of panic, Bitcoin goes up and down, and so on. So this is why I say maybe BlackRock and the rest of the buddies, because they all own shares inside of each other. BlackRock owns shares in Grayscale, Grayscale owns shares in BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Vanguard, Fidelity. They all own shares in each other. It's just one big circle between these institutions. So are they opening up space for their buddies? Well, according to this new headline, seems like it, European banking giant BNP Paribas Ventures into Bitcoin ETF investments. In a significant development reported through 13F filings with the US Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, BNP Paribas, Europe's second largest bank by assets, has made a notable entry into cryptocurrency investments. The multinational bank acquired 1,030 shares of BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. How ironic. BlackRock's Bitcoin hasn't had essentially any sort of outflows so far. None, pretty much. BlackRock's IBIT has pretty much had, not at all any sort of outflows happening until now. At the exact same time that BNP Paribas, Europe's second largest bank by assets, has made a notable entry into cryptocurrency investments. The multinational bank acquired 1,030 shares of BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. Look at the timing of that. It's just, quite interesting. During the first quarter of 2024, each share was purchased at a price of $14.47, totaling an investment of $41. Essentially moving forward with interesting amounts to less than the market value of single Bitcoins at current market price. Now, BNP Paribas strategic investments in Bitcoin ETFs. This move by BNP Paribas is seen as a cautious yet pioneering step into the realm of spot Bitcoin ETFs, highlighting a growing interest from traditional financial institutions in such an investment vehicles. These transactions are particularly noteworthy as it represents one of the initial instances where a major bank has invested into Bitcoin spot ETFs, somewhat affirming the hypothesis of the institutional investors are beginning to consider Bitcoin exchange-traded funds as a viable investment option. Institutional investment managers, including those from foreign banks like BNP Paribas, who engage in transactions in the US, such as purchasing American ETFs, are mandated to disclose their quarterly investments through 13F reports to the SEC. These filings are required for entities managing assets worth at least $100 million and must be submitted within 45 days following the end of the quarter. Exploring institutional interest in cryptocurrency investments. Despite this move, the overall market sentiment towards Bitcoin ETFs has been mixed. A report from Goldman Sachs released shortly after the US SEC approved several spot Bitcoin ETFs in January indicated that immediate market uptake and interest from institutional investors might not materialize swiftly. This view is supported by Matt Hugan, CIO of Crypto Index Fund Manager of essentially Bitwise, who noted that the most professional investors are still unable to invest in Bitcoin ETFs, although he anticipates this will change gradually over the next couple of years, following extensive individual due diligence processes. Since their introduction in January, Bitcoin ETFs have attracted $11.2 billion in net inflows, according to data from far-side investors, even as they observed more than $17.4 billion of outflows from Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust GBTC Additionally, recent trends have shown substantial outflows from Bitcoin ETFs, including over $563 million, which isn't that much, by the US Federal Reserve's decision to maintain interest rates, which has made investors wary of riskier assets such as stocks and cryptocurrencies. The caution forays into Bitcoin ETFs marks a significant shift in stance for BNP Paribas. Just in September 2022, Sandro Pedro, the head of BNP Paribas, and just to put in perspective, okay, Sandro, which is the head of BNP Paribas, in 2022, BNP, the second largest, essentially coming out of Europe, bank by assets, was against cryptocurrencies in 2022. Fast forward to 2024, now they're in favor of cryptocurrencies heavily, citing a lack of substantial. This is what they said in the past. They said that cryptocurrencies are citing a lack of substantial client demand for such investments. This recent investment suggests a change in perspective within the bank, essentially regarding digital asset engagements. So, Europe's second biggest bank, BNP Paribas, brought BlackRock spot. Now, a lot of other things happening as well. So we have the market movements going on right now, but then you have BNP Paribas coming out of nowhere and buying BlackRock spot shares. We also have this from BlackRock. Asset management company BlackRock announced that there will be a fund flows to Bitcoin ETFs from different sectors. Is the next news when we talk about tonight's live show. Which again, just to point it out, asset management company BlackRock announced that there will be fund flows, so money coming in to Bitcoin ETFs from different sectors, is what BlackRock has just said. A lot more money is about to be entering the crypto space from every angle, and we'll talk about what those angles are, into Bitcoin ETFs. Now again, whatever enters into Bitcoin, it creates adoption for Bitcoin, creates adoption for the entire crypto space because it puts crypto on the map. So good news on Bitcoin ETFs means also good news for the crypto space moving forward for legitimate assets in terms of institutional investments. But let's go towards the comment section before we get to that news. 500,000 people gathered together. Magna Carta only takes 2 barrels to change things. True. Miles, how was your day? How are your parents? How was your business there since you're there? Scott, I'll check it out after this live show. We're going to DM. My business doing very well. Thanks so much for asking, Scott. Parents are doing very well as well. How you doing, Scott? Good to see you, brother. Miles is too deep for people to understand. It's not about BTC ETFs. It's USA versus China. BlackRock versus Hong Kong. Yes, it is true. BlackRock inflows for BTC was in 100% millions, whilst Hong Kong's inflow was only a couple of millions, which is also true as well. But Hong Kong is trying to solve that issue by going to Saudi Arabia, which we'll get to as well. Exactly. That's why the US is funding the increase in price of goods. Yes, BlackRock just wanted to prove a point, which they did. They are the boss, which they are. Well, they certainly did. That's A. Yes, definitely. And based on what Funky Brother, you keep on reading my mind, because as I'm about to say the next thing you're saying inside the comment section, regarding what Funky Brother again just said inside the comment section, that Miles is too deep for people to understand. It's not about BTC ETFs inside the United States versus China. It's basically it's BlackRock versus Hong Kong and US versus China, which is all true, yes. But there's also the other aspect of who can have. It's not just about proving a point, but it's also, this is the number one asset in the world in terms of an asset that you can hold on the sidelines. It's going to grow over value, and it's limited. So there's the point of proving a point, which is fair enough, which is what they're doing. It's just what it is. But it's also who can who can have the majority control of that asset, which America does have moving forward. I mean, the biggest Bitcoin mining institutions are inside the United States. They all moved away from China when China essentially banned Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency in general. All of those massive Bitcoin mining institutions moved over to the United States, which now BlackRock, Vanguard, and Fidelity are majority shareholders of. But yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's basically countries versus countries, jurisdictions versus other jurisdictions, and it's BlackRock versus Hong Kong. And regarding BlackRock versus Hong Kong, we'll get to that news actually, but I have news on that as well. Hong Kong has went to Saudi Arabia to boost their Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs with over $1 billion and more. We'll get to that. We'll get to that one as well. But yes, it is what it basically is. It's jurisdictions versus jurisdictions. You are correct. What do you think of Jasmine now as an ETF, approved in Asian in Hong Kong, and Jasmine has announced layer twos? What do I think of Jasmine now that it's got an ETF approved in Asia? Is it confirmed news? If it is, that's great for Jasmine. But here's the thing. I've always said, everybody can quote me on this, and my videos are also on TikTok, the previous ones. But everybody can quote me on this as well. I've always said, if Jasmine is going to do anything inside of this market space, it's going to come from the Asian markets. I said, if Jasmine does well for itself, it's going to be because of the Asian markets, not because the Western markets any sort of way. And I said, if Jasmine does well for itself, it's going to be coming out of Japanese markets or, in general, the Asian markets, which looks like they got their ETF coming out in the Asian markets, which is good for them. Who can laugh the longest miles? We can. The CMF always. So if they all want, but I not understand what he's, so if they all want from themselves who manipulate the market, i.e. market maker, yeah, because it's one big, the house has to always win. I've always said this, the house has to always win. When too many people, there's a lot of ways that market manipulation happens, and we'll get to this news as well, but there's a lot of ways that market manipulation happens inside of crypto space or in the stock market in general, but multiple ways of market manipulation. For example, inside the crypto sector, when too many people put long positions, those exchanges have to pay out that money. Okay, so when the market is anticipated to go up, and then all of a sudden it does a complete reversal, and a lot of people won't see it coming, because if they did, then sometimes $600 million, $900 million wouldn't be liquidated from traders inside cryptocurrency, exchanges. So when the market does sudden reversals, it's because too many people. You need to check out this. Okay, if you don't want to be caught on a liquidation situation from crypto exchanges, if you don't want to be caught out and be liquidated from exchanges, you need to check out how many long positions are being put on these exchanges at certain times. Okay, because if there's too many long positions at a certain time, those exchanges are going to have difficulty paying that money out. Okay, they will pay out. You're not saying the exchanges will never pay anybody out. They pay out, but not when everybody's putting 20x, 50x. Some exchanges do 200x or 150x or 120x. When there's too many positions like that of 20x, 10x or 50x or 100x, 120x, 200x, and 150x, and so on. When there's too many positions like that, the exchanges are not paying people out. That's when you see the market do sudden reversals, and a lot of people don't see it coming. And that's when you see $600 million liquidated from the crypto markets on traders putting long positions, or $800 million liquid. That's when you see the headlines on the news. Okay, always look out on the data from these exchanges on how many long positions or how many short positions have been put on the markets. Okay, because that's where the sudden reversals come in. Because the house has to always win, and the house in this instance is the crypto exchanges, the ones that provide you these services. Okay, they're the house, and you're playing inside of their house. They'll let you win, but when things get too heated, they'll pull the plug and do a reversal on you. So they'll let you win. Exchanges will always let you win, but when things get too heated, they will pull the plug on you because they're betting against you. So that's when you see liquidations happen on exchanges. That's when you see like all of these exchanges, suddenly the headlines read $600 million liquidated from traders putting long positions. Yeah, because the exchanges aren't paying out all those people who are playing 50x's, 100x's, 120x, 200x. They're not crazy, it's business. I'm just like you. My nickname is Sponge as I observe everything you say. Let's go. I have learnt a lot from my Professor Miles. Let's go, funky brother. Jasmine also partnered with Panasonic recently. Yeah, I heard about that. That was a good partnership as well, but financial partnerships are the best. Also, what do you think of Hulu Chain and iOS and Reef Chain? Hulu Chain, good. They have long-standing potential going for them in the long-term wise as well. iOS and Reef Chain, I need to look at their recent developments to give you a pair of perspective on them. Direct message me MOD and I'll check them out. No problem. That's a business I want to collect their money. AI hunt your stop losses. Basically, they are a business and hunt for your stop losses to collect. Basically, it's the house. The house has to always win. Basic rule number one. Okay, the house has to always win. And when there's too many long positions, the house ain't paying out nobody. The house is not going to be paying out the 20x's, 50x's, 120x's, 200x's. No house is paying that money out. And that's when you see all the exchanges across the board do a reversal on everybody. So they'll let you in, they'll let you in, they'll let you in, but when things get too heated, they'll pull the plug. Now, the news I was actually going to be reading out was this one. So, asset management company BlackRock announced that there will be fund flows to Bitcoin ETFs from different sectors. This is where things get interesting as well. BlackRock, the world's largest asset management company, is witnessing growing interest. This is good news. Growing interest from a different type of investors in spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, ETFs. BlackRock expects increased interest in Bitcoin ETFs from sovereign wealth funds and pension funds. BlackRock's head of digital asset, Robert, predicts that the financial institutions, such as sovereign wealth funds, pensions, funds, and endowments, will begin trading in spot Bitcoin ETFs in the coming months. In the coming months, there's going to be a lot of money coming in from every sector towards Bitcoin ETFs. Okay, in the coming months, according to BlackRock, according to Robert, who is the head of their digital assets, a lot of money is preparing to enter the crypto space. According to Robert, BlackRock's head of digital assets. This is what he said, word for word. Whether we're talking about pensions, endowments, or sovereign wealth funds, insurers, other asset managers, family offices, many of these firms that are interested are having an ongoing due diligence and research discussions, and we play a role in terms of education. And what they actually mean by that is we're the ones they're going to be going for regarding BTC ETFs. Pent up demand for the much anticipated ETFs has seen more than $76 billion accumulated in these products since their approval in January. Some registered investment advisors, ROIs, already offer BlackRock's IBIT ETFs. The next step is expected to be unlimited offerings of Bitcoin ETFs to clients of major wealth advisories players such as Morgan Stanley. A significant portion of the current IBIT assets comes from Grayscale's exchange. Other sources could be outflows from higher priced international products in Canada or European markets as well, with some coming from Bitcoin future ETFs be converted back into spot products. So, according to Robert, the main gist of that entire article is, according to Robert, major amounts of money is about to be entering the crypto markets from every angle of asset management funds. And when they say, by the way, when they say family offices, they don't mean, a family, office or family, but they basically mean investment firms that had to turn into family offices. If you know what that means, you know what that means. But it's basically investment firms that have had to turn by paying a fine to turn into family offices, but they still have a lot of money. They have billions to millions to their names. But in terms of what BlackRock is saying, in terms of what Robert is saying, huge amount of money is about to enter the crypto space. Robert, head of digital assets from BlackRock in the coming months. Huge amount of money is about to enter the crypto space. Also, they did mention regarding the more banks, more institutions, and BlackRock's recent new friend as well, PNB, that just entered the crypto space as well, which is the largest Bitcoin, essentially, the largest asset bank in European markets as well. They entered, that's basically BlackRock's body as well. But again, something that I said as well a long time ago, more banks, more institutions, more regulations are headed towards the crypto space, which means a lot more money, but also a lot more manipulation. But if you have the kahunas to stick around, you're going to make incredible amounts of you-know-what. If you don't have the kahunas to stick around and you think this market's going to dump and dump and dump, you're very mistaken. We're obviously going to have corrections and pullbacks, but moving forward, we're about to go into full utility. We're about to go into tokenization because, well, BlackRock's leading tokenization. But we're also about to go into other sectors of the crypto space regarding data, finance, cross-border payments. The part about crypto most people forgot about, which was utility, and everybody started going towards the cute meme coins from the retail section, while the institutions are focusing on utility, which is also what Stripe's CEO said. Utility is here. That's the reason why Stripe entered the crypto space again about a week ago. If you look at that, what that man, his words were, he said, crypto is back, utility is here. Nobody from the crypto section is focused on utility. Everybody's focused on quick change. And people wonder from the retail section why they stay inside the retail section, because you're not putting your focus where it's supposed to be, which is utility. Don't forget why crypto was created. Crypto was not created for you to make a quick buck. It was created for utility. And now that we're getting into utility, you're focused on the quit. You're focused. The majority of people inside the crypto section are focused on the cute animal projects with a quadrillion token supply, while the institutions are coming in with big, deep wallets, focusing on utility, focusing on tokenization, focusing on cross-border payments. You might want to go back to the drawing boards and look at those projects with those big partnerships. Yeah, they start to come alive one by one. Once your initial investments in any coin has doubled, cash out initial investments. There it is. Yeah. People forget the game. Someone has to lose for you to win. That's basically it. It's facts. Top 5 projects that institutions are going for. Top 5 projects that institutions are going for. Well, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, XDC. Cardano is also on the list as well. Solana is on the list as well because of Grayscale. Grayscale as a fund. AVAX is also on the list as well. Grayscale as a fund. If you want to know, I've said this previously as well. If you want to know what ETFs are next, okay, here's one indication. If you want to know what ETF is next or what ETFs are next, it's very easy to tell. Grayscale has a crypto portfolio. Now, if you go a little bit, backwards, you would realize that the reason why we have Bitcoin ETFs is Grayscale sued the SEC, and the judge gave a green light to Grayscale, essentially. And what did we have now? What do we have next? We had the Bitcoin ETFs. Grayscale has a crypto portfolio. They hold Bitcoin, they hold Ethereum, they hold Solana, they hold XRP, they hold AVAX. They used to hold Cardano as well. I think maybe they got back into it. But you can tell what ETFs are next by just looking at Grayscale's portfolio. They were the ones that sued the SEC and got the ETFs ball rolling. They have a portfolio holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and AVAX, and one other project. I think it was Polygon, and Cardano was there. They sometimes take it out, put it back in. But yeah, you might want to be taking the Grayscale's portfolio to see what's next regarding ETFs, because they were the ones that pushed it. Are you at all concerned about the outcome of Ripple's case going in the second favor? Am I concerned? So yeah, chosen. That's the projects I would focus on, and it's also the projects that a lot of institutions are focused on as well. For example, AVAX, Citibank, and JP Morgan are doing subnet greens on AVAX. So AVAX is definitely on the list on top 5 projects for institutions. JP Morgan using AVAX and subnet green for building tokenization purposes and going eco-friendly. Citibank doing the exact same thing on AVAX's network. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to AVAX because, again, the retail section's focus is all messed up inside the crypto space right now. And XRP is definitely on the list. If you can't see XRP's potential because the price doesn't move, then you don't understand how business works. Because if you look at their list of partnerships on Ripple's website, your jaw will hit the ground. But you're too focused on the price doesn't move, which means you're going to miss that train when it comes around. This case is about to come to an end. If you didn't realize it, now you do. Bitcoin is obviously on the list as well for institutions because it's basically their digital gold living on the sidelines. You can see how many institutions are holding it right now, how many banks are holding it, and how many banks day by day or institutions day by day are coming inside the crypto space as well. Also the other aspects as well. Ethereum is also on the list as well, definitely. JP Morgan, one of the biggest, built their whole on-exchange on it, only for institutions. Nobody can have access to it. So those are the main ones, obviously, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, AVAX, even H4 is on the list as well. But also look at their portfolio regarding Grayscale to see what ETFs are next as well. Now, going to, are you at all concerned about the outcome of the Ripple case going in second favor? In the SEC's favor. Oh, okay. Am I concerned that the Ripple case versus SEC? So this is John's question inside the comment section I'm reading right now. And John's question is, if anybody else has a question, put it inside the comment section. So John's question is basically, am I concerned that it might go in favor of the SEC regarding Ripple Labs? No. Because one, so far the SEC is having difficulties of doing anything. The SEC hasn't won a major case. But let's just say in this scenario, the news comes out, SEC wins, Ripple has to pay $2 billion. It's not really major in any sort of a way. They're not going to be paying $2 billion in any sort of way. But in this scenario, let's say, the other way happens and that happens, basically, the SEC wins. They're going to be paid $2 billion. Is that going to impact Ripple? Is that going to impact XRP? Yes. At that moment in time, yes. In the long term, hell no. Those partnerships are still there. That means they've paid their fine and now they can move on. Either way, they're paying a fine. Okay, it's just where the fine is going to line up at. But in that scenario, let's say if the SEC wins, it's not really a big issue. At that moment in time, it's a big issue. But if you're smart enough at that moment in time, you can make money as well. Let's just say news comes out, SEC, wins against Ripple Labs. What do you think happens to the XRP price? What do you think, I would be doing at that moment in time? Shorting XRP. So if you're smart, you can make money from every instance of the market space, okay? But obviously, I know that will be for a short period of time, because then after shorting the market, a little bit of time passes, I'm going to be longing the market back up again on XRP. Because do you think XRP is going to stay down there, even if they do pay $2 billion? Hell no. Have you seen the list of their partnerships? Are you not listening to SBI Holdings, Standard Chartered Bank, HSBC, Metago, their partnerships, all their licensings? Have you not seen their licensings? But if you're smart on any occasion, you can make money. It comes out, SEC wins, you short. Well, you don't. It's not financial advice. I short. So news comes out, Ripple lost. SEC wins $2 billion. I'm shorting XRP. A little bit of time passes, I'm longing XRP because I know it's going to come back up. But that's your scenario of, let's just say, SEC wins. Now, my scenario is the SEC has no hope in hell because the SEC has not lost. Ripple Labs has not lost a case against the SEC yet. And also, the SEC hasn't won a major case at all. The SEC has... Look, I'll give it to you like this. The biggest cases the SEC has had so far, okay? Ripple, Binance, Coinbase are the biggest cases the SEC has had inside the crypto space. Ripple, Binance, Coinbase, the biggest cases they've had so far, excluding debit books and the other cases and so on and so on, even though they lied on that, but we'll get to that one. The Ripple case, they're still battling out so far. Ripple won the results, essentially for one part of XRP, and then the SEC dropped one case. So 2-0, Ripple's in the win. 2-0, Ripple's in the win. Coinbase case. The SEC, basically, Coinbase went to dismiss the case, and they couldn't. But everybody saw that, Coinbase is too weak, and the SEC is getting that win because they couldn't dismiss the case. Not really. What actually happened was, on that dismissal, the Coinbase wallet at least got dismissed. So now it just remains Coinbase. And then it was ruled in favor that secondary markets are technically not securities. So technically, Coinbase is still in the win. And then we have the Binance case. Again, the SEC was not able to close this one, wrap it up, and to close it down. Because what happened? The CFTC came. The SEC went after Binance. Couldn't do anything with it, pretty much. They went after them, went here, went there, knocked on every single door. CFTC comes in, wraps up the case, $4 billion, says he can't leave the United States, $50 million fine. The SEC hasn't won a major case. The SEC doesn't even know what a major case is inside the crypto space if they put it in front of them. The other minuscule cases they've won, sure, library case, what are they going to do with that one? But the big ones, they crumble. Gary Gensler crumbles when he goes up against the bigger players, which in this case is Ripple, Binance, and his scenarios, and Coinbase. CFTC wrapped up the Binance case, not the SEC. They couldn't wrap up the Coinbase case, and the judge so far is weighing in front of Coinbase's side, and so far the judge is also weighing in the Ripple side. They haven't won a thing regarding major cases. But you are crazy if you think. And by the way, again, as I said previously, I'm from still a lot of news to go through as well. A lot of news to still cover. We'll go through now as well. On tonight's live show, too much news to still go through. But let me wrap this up as well before we get to the next news. Basically, what I was going to say is that it's coordinated. Yeah, everything inside a corporate section is coordinated to happen, is what I was going to say. Everything inside a corporate section is coordinated to happen. And I give the analogy of, why do you think Bitcoin ETFs were green lighted in January and not last year? Because they were coordinated to be green lighted. And the person that kept on saying no, Gary Gensler kept on voting no to Bitcoin ETFs. And then we had the case scenario, but there was still no. Even though Grayscale's judge pushed him to say yes, there was still no. But when it comes January time, they say yes. Do you know why they said yes? Because everything's coordinated inside the corporate sector. What does Bitcoin's halving need? A good supply and demand. BTC ETFs, will the supply and demand scenario for them. If the BTC ETFs happened last year, there was no point. There was a reason they happened in January. There was a reason they got pushed until January. They get green-lighted so they could be the supply and demand for the BTC halving going forward. They could be that boost inside the market space because the retail doesn't have money, and if they do, it's not coordinated. But institutional money is coordinated. Everything happens inside the corporate section because it's coordinated to happen. Now, this time around, the market narrative is what? Regulations, banks, and institutions. Which project, 24,000 crypto projects, which one has a better chance in that category? 24,000 plus crypto projects. Just think to yourself, 24,000 plus crypto projects. Which one has a better chance in that category of regulations, banks, and institutions? Ripple. When is the case coming to an end? This year. Why? Coordinated. Previous years, what was the market coordination? Metaverse, no relevance. AI, no relevance. And the meme coin, no relevance, and no relevance, no relevance. Until now, relevance. Banks, institutions, regulations. The exact same time. This case is about to wrap up. If you miss it, doesn't bother me. Now, two teams, same coach. Let's go. It's coordinated to end this year in a win for Ripple. Let's go. How about stopping institutional sales? How about stopping institutional sales? Okay, regarding institutional sales, the SEC can do whatever they want regarding institutional, sales on stopping, but it's not relevant to outside of the United States. See, Ripple has this other company that they set up basically inside of Singapore under Singaporean law. That's the company that's actually distributing the XRP. So Ripple is operating under the Singaporean law on a subsidiary, and they're the ones distributing XRP through Singapore, which has no relevance to the United States version of Ripple Labs. It's called a business tactic. And it's, not even a gray area. It's pretty much a very legal area because they're regulated in Singapore. They have a license in Singapore. And they have a subsidiary in Singapore distributing the XRP. It's all very legit on paper. There's no gray area in any sort of a way. If they went to Singapore, set up a random company, start distributing their tokens, that's a bit odd and a bit sus, and so on. But because they have a license in Singapore, they set up a subsidiary in Singapore, they're operating in Singapore, it's all within the law of Singaporean law. So there's no mistakes whatsoever, and it's very legal on paper. So the SEC has no power, unfortunately, which is also the reason why they can't ask for $2 billion. That ridiculous figure. Gary Gensler's just looking for a payday, and that payday ain't coming, unfortunately, for him. People don't understand that when XRP wins, they actually win it for the whole of the crypto markets and for the exchanges. Yes, facts. Manipulation to distract you as a retail investor while they fill their bags. Facts. We are all a part of the corporations once your birth certificates were signed. Facts. Now, going to this news. Hong Kong bankers leverage Middle East opportunities. Potential impact on Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. So as we all know, Hong Kong launched their ETFs. Not much amount of money came into them, but expected. I even said it's going to take 2 weeks for them to materialize moving forward. Now, Hong Kong is about to solve this issue by going to the Saudis. As Hong Kong bankers eye Middle East opportunities, Bahrain-based InvestCorp Holding unveils a plan for a $1 billion fund. Hong Kong bankers eye Middle Eastern opportunities. Hong Kong bankers are increasingly exploring opportunities in the Middle East, driven by the region's favorable tax environment and substantial wealth. This trend is marked by significant developments such as the upcoming markets forum or co-hosted by the Hong Kong Exchange and its Saudi Arabian counterparts, as reported by Bloomberg. This partnership signals growing collaboration between the two regions. InvestCorp Holdings unveils a $1 billion fund. Bahrain-based InvestCorp Holdings recently announced plans to launch $1 billion fund targeting Chinese companies listed in Hong Kong. How ironic, because those Chinese companies in Hong Kong, basically two of them are the ones that launched the BTC and Ethereum ETFs, who also need a lot of money. Middle East has a lot of money. This initiative underscores the increasing cross-signal investment strategies and the potential for financial growth in the Middle East. The region's zero income tax, in contrast to Hong Kong's 16% maximum rate, is a significant catalyst for their growing interest. Considerations for relocation. Despite the financial advantages, professionals considering relocation should also take into account lifestyle adjustments and control norms in the Middle East. Factors such as housing costs, resilience on public transportation, and the alcohol regulations as well inside the Middle East vary across the Gulf cities. Furthermore, for individuals seeking special requirements is a bit odd also in the Middle East as well. But now moving on to the conclusion, the growing interest among Hong Kong bankers, significant financial prospects. However, it also necessitates careful consideration of lifestyle and control factors. As cross-regional collaborations and investment strategies continue to evolve, it will be interesting to observe how this trend shapes the future of global finance. So Hong Kong businesses look like they're going to be expanding their legs into the Middle East. Preferably Bahrain is where they're starting with, and preferably their $1 billion fund from InvestCorp. That's definitely going to be boosting those Chinese companies in Hong Kong, especially towards their BTC and Ethereum ETFs. I did say it's going to take 2 weeks for the ETFs in Hong Kong to materialize moving forward. So let's see how that goes. Now, before we get to the next news, which is Thailand's multi-billion-dollar digital currency giveaway. CBDCs. They're giving CBDCs away. Obviously, the fools will be lining up for that. But we're going to read that news, and everybody should know about this as well, because it's a trick that could be played in your jurisdiction as well. Now, before I read that, let me go to the comment section. Manipulation to distract you, retailers. Yep, we are a part of the corporations once your birth certificates are signed. Correct. John, thanks. No problem. Anytime. All government banks answer to the central banks. Pretty much. Now, this is the news on this one. Thailand's multi-billion-dollar digital currency giveaway. Now, I shared this news last year, where I said that that I said essentially Thailand, a Thai party in Thailand, decided to give out free Thai baht to get people to vote for them. So they were giving out free money in Thailand to get people to vote for that Thai party. But obviously there's no such thing as free money in this world. There's always a catch. The catch was it was a CBDC. And the bigger catch was they can only spend that CBDC 4 kilometers away from their house, and it expires in 6 months. Now, Thailand has introduced another feature to get the ball rolling on CBDCs. Thailand, which launched a major pilot retail central bank digital currency last year, CBDC, is following up with a pioneering digital token payout to 50 million lower income citizens, aimed at encouraging them to spend in their local communities. When they say encouraging them to spend that money in their local communities, what it basically means is that CBDC in Thailand that's been released last year is limited to their local communities, because beyond that, the CBDC money doesn't work. But nice use of words, they can spend that in their local communities, because the next local community, the money doesn't work. The 500 billion baht, $13.7 billion plan was announced last month by Prime Minister Sirfan and is set to launch at the end of this year. This initiative was earlier rumored to be funded by borrowing and adding to the country's public debts, but instead will be financed out of the Thailand's physical budget over the next 2 years. The state-owned Bank of Agriculture and Agricultural Corporations will also contribute to providing digital capital for an additional 17 million Thais. The program is predicted to boost the Thai GDP by up to 1.6%. Now, I said this. I said that, to get people into CBDCs, there are multiple ways. I said they can force people into CBDCs. That's one way. They can, brainwash you into thinking CBDCs are good, or they can give it away, is what I said as well. They can give you CBDC money. Most people wouldn't know what CBDCs are. They'll just see it as the government's helping me by giving me free money, is what some people will see it as. The majority of people in this world. Exactly what they're doing in Thailand. And before those people realize it, it's too late. Their entire life is going to be on CBDCs, and they can kiss goodbye their normal life. after 5 years or 6 years. Last year's pilot retail CBDC launch by the Bank of Thailand was embraced by 140 merchants, 4,000 consumers, and two of the country's largest banks. Was hailed as an effective tool to promote innovation and foster competition among financial service providers. However, the central bank recently announced that it has no intermediary plans for digital BAT. This is again an interesting part because, as I said previously, every central bank, for some oddly reason, comes out on the news. We've had the European banks come out and say this. We've had the British banks, the Canadian banks, the American banks, Japanese banks, Australian banks, South African banks, Hong Kong's banks. Every single bank has just came out and said, we've done testings on CBDCs and they were successful. We're going to spend more money on more testings. We're going to spend more money on the use case, expand this use case, draw up a business plan. But we don't think we're going to launch CBDCs. I'm sorry, if you're not going to launch it, how does that make sense of you spending? It's like me saying, I'm going to be making myself an amazing lasagna, but I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to look at it. How does that make sense? How can you come out as a central bank and say, we've built this CBDC test. We've built the CBDCs. The test was successful. All the tests were successful. It was absolutely amazing. We're going to draw up a business plan for it. We're going to launch it out at the banks, launch it out at the merchants. But we don't think we're going to. We don't think we're going to use it. We're not going to launch it. But we're going to do all of that. But we don't think we're going to use it. How does that make sense? Honestly, it's like me saying, I'm going to, make myself a lasagna, but I'm not going to eat it. I'm just going to look at it. The logic behind these banks is absolutely funny. But then the best part is, obviously, the banks launched the CBDCs because, Thailand said the exact same things regarding test was successful. We did this, we did that. We got more business plans on the way, but we're not going to launch it. But they launched it last year. A lot more other countries did the exact same thing. Now, also just to put in perspective of how much they want to push CBDCs onto people, where the Thailand government is, essentially spending $13.7 billion. The Thailand government is giving away $13.7 billion to people in Thailand in CBDC money. When have you ever seen the government care? By the way, that's going to low-income families. The $13.7 billion of CBDC money, most of it is going to low-income families in Thailand. When have you ever seen the government care about low-income people? Just a question. When have you seen the government care, especially with free money? Because obviously there's no catch. Bruno Rosso, CEO and head of research of Rosso Rubin Associates, describes the central bank's plunge into CBDCs last year as a response to challenge posed by the crypto assets and stablecoins that profited over the last few years. They're saying the reason why we're in CBDCs is because we're trying to go against the cryptocurrencies. It's nothing to do with control. It's because they want to, go against cryptocurrencies. But also to respond to advancements made by China, which officially launched its ECNY, or digital remedies, in February 2022. Note, not all central banks are so ready to act on the digital currencies. However, the European Central Bank and the Bank of England are catching up with their digital euro and digital pound project. Yes, because if you are living inside the United Kingdom, which I am, and if you're also living in Canada, the United States, or the European markets, any European country, don't worry, your CBDCs are on the way as well. While the US lags behind and Feds fears that any advancements in the fields may destabilize the role of the dollar as the global reserve currency. They're lying to themselves. The US has bigger plans on the way. But yeah, as I said previously, every jurisdiction. Don't worry, no matter where you live on this planet, CBDCs are coming your way. If you've also wondered, why do we have so much high immigration? Why are governments just, bringing out people out of nowhere? Why is America keep on opening their doors to immigration? Why is Canada keep on opening their doors to immigration? Why is the UK keep on opening their doors to immigration? France, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It's because, we're not that far off from a digital future, basically. We're not that far off. Once BlackRock entered the race, we're definitely not that far off. And obviously, they were in the race behind the scenes. The paperwork shows it. But we do have CBDCs on the way. And we also have social credit systems. We have digital IDs on the way as well, which is always discussed in the World Economic Forum. And interesting enough, yesterday I read out the news from the governor of Bahrain's bank, blatantly coming out and saying that COVID was basically a failed test for everybody. Well, COVID was a pass test because it made everybody go digital and so on, and that digital IDs is basically the next step. There's a reason why they're opening their borders for immigration left, right, and center, because everybody needs to go on CBDCs, and everybody needs to go on digital IDs, and they can't give you a digital ID or a CBDC if you're living in a war country or out of their reach, because at this rate, regarding CBDCs and social credit systems, the majority of the people in this world are peasants, and the peasants, in terms of their ideas, need to be controlled. That is why we have mass immigration everywhere. That is why they've kindly opened their doors. The governments of every country that open their doors doesn't have enough money to feed their own people, but they're willingly open their doors. Never crossed anyone's minds why the governments like the UK government, American government, Canadian government can't feed their own people, but they're opening their hearts to the other people. Never crossed anyone's mind why the United States can't feed its own peoples, but they're opening their doors to immigration, giving them bank cards and $1,000 or a place to sleep. Never, crossed anyone's mind why they're just kindly opening their hearts. Which government do you know that kindly opens their hearts to anybody? The answer is none, if you're still wondering. It's because we're going digital, and everybody needs to be on CBDCs, everybody needs to be on social credit systems, and they can't reach you if you're out of zone. Now, moving forward with the other one, which is Bank of Japan. Bank of Japan issues latest report on digital yen CBDCs investigation. A lot of CBDC news is happening. Japan continues exploration of a digital yen, central bank digital currency CBDC, and what form it should take. A regular update published by this month by the Bank of Japan Payment Services Department looks at what additional functions a digital national currency could or should have. Its findings comes from consultations with potential users in the business world and concerns what form it should take, how it might interoperate with existing payment systems, and privacy scalability issues. The process overall is called the pilot project, is what Japan is calling it, which currently has involved the Bank of Japan and over 60 stakeholders from the businesses and financial worlds. So far, it has looked at what sort of ledger should be used, how that data is shared between a central coordinator and intermediary services and the end user wallets and applications. To date, regular updates from the project have lacked details of specific findings or decisions. Readers know only which issues have been discussed and what the findings will be used to essentially form the experimental system at some future point. The Bank of Japan has stressed that it has not yet made a final decision to introduce. I was just talking about essentially, every single bank, every single centralized bank in this world has came out and said the exact same words, which is we've as I was just reading, Japan just did their testings. Testings were good, and they're going to do more testings. They're going to expand on CBDCs. They have a business plan drawn up. But then it comes to the Bank of Japan has stressed that it is not yet made a final decision to introduce a digital currency and would not do so or after an extensive research process to determine its merits. You're doing all of that, but you're not sure if you're going to go for it. Of course not. Of course not. They're just doing this for reassurance purposes. They're going to spend millions to billions of dollars creating a CBDC and put it on the shelf and never use it. Of course, that's what they're doing. Every additional functionality of a CBDC can potentially perform raises concerns over what and how much extra. Can everybody see me and hear me? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me and see me. I see you. I see you. Yeah, I see you. Yes. Okay, we're back. When you talk about CBDCs too much, this happens. Master the broke and floated. Section 702, they are onto you, bro. Yes, okay. We're back. We're back. We're back. Okay, so we're back. We're back. We're back. Okay. Bright Steel, let's go. So, let's go. Um, as I was reading the Japan situation, so 5 working groups have been in the Bank of Japan's research process so far. They've explored ideas such as interactions with external infrastructures and how to redeem or issue the digital tokens. The WG1 is what they're calling it, an API sandbox, common standards, and extra functionalities like programmability. So Japan is working on programmability when it comes to CBDCs. So C's, freeze, expiry dates. Same scenario for every country. Brazil said the exact same thing. China was the first one to say it, and Thailand's proved it already with the Thai currency, the Thai CBDC, where you can only spend a 4 kilometers from your house and expires in 6 months, is what the Thai party was giving out to people, 10,000 baht for free. Functionalities unlike programmability, KYC security, and potential risks, the technological platform and whether they use their accounts like Ethereum or like Bitcoin or any other kind of database assets and end-to-end user cases. Now, otherwise, basic findings so far suggest that the Japanese CBDC should have a central shared ledger and be based on a platform capable of processing hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. Only one comes to mind regarding that part. But the BOJ has the Bank of Japan has been investigating the concept of CBDC assets for the last decade. In November 2020, former Bank of Japan executive Humiya cautioned the process that would take a number of years through essentially hinted there was a degree of international pressure on central banks to go digital. Neighboring China and central banks worldwide went through the same similar investigation process. However, China is the largest economy and with largest company that has actually issued a token. The Chinese digital yuan token has seen limited scope trials in the real world. However, the country's central bank, like Japan's, has stressed that a digital national currency should run alongside existing ones and not to be designed to replace them. Regarding what Japan just said, it's quite funny how Japan has essentially said that CBDCs, are not supposed to replace um, money. CBDCs are not supposed to replace cash. Cash is always going to be around. This is what Japan is saying. Interesting enough, yesterday, news came out from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, where the Bank of Bahrain, the governor, explicitly said that we're not going to be calling it CBDCs anymore. It's just going to be called money. So first they changed the name, International Monetary Fund. And then they said we're all going to be going fully digital. So a lot of these banks have come out and said it's going to coexist. We're going to be living this hybrid situation. We have CBDCs and cash. But according to the International Monetary Fund and according to the Bank of Bahrain's governor, who made a very bold speech, he said, we're going to be going fully digital. Cash will soon to be existing, will never be existing anymore. He said the hybrid situation isn't really working. We're just going to go fully digital. And we're going to stop calling it CBDCs. We're just going to call it digital money or money. And he said that COVID helped. He said that COVID helped to go, digital. He said COVID was a big factor to help us all go digital because COVID essentially, of how much it helped, everybody went from cash to Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay after COVID. The tests show it, 80 to 90% of people using Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. Do you think that was by accident? No, that was not by accident. All planned. And the whole world failed on that whole COVID situation. Every single person inside the retail section that took that vaccine failed the test. The test of you having brain cells, essentially, which is a bad thing to say against a lot of people, but you failed the test of brain cells. Because they wanted COVID to work. There's many reasons why it happened. The digital passport scenario, they wanted to see the use of digital passports. They wanted to see, who's obedient, who's not, and how many people they could make essentially go digital. The tests are all there, the results are all there. But, the Bank of Bahrain actually said, it helped. COVID was a big factor for CBDCs next. Just put in perspective. International Monetary Fund. Now, CBDC promotes in Japan would definitely like to see a digital yen sooner rather than later. Last December, BOJ convinced panels of academics, researchers, and industry representatives called for the country to introduce a digital yen without a delay. However, educating the public and providing reasons to actually use a digital currency matter an asset that simply run alongside a novelty token only, where users are likely, to be preferring the real thing for most use cases. Now, Japan has a reputation for being an early adapter of new technologies, but it also cautions as to which ones to get chosen and slow to abandon them, even when separate technologies exist. There's still widespread use of fax machines in the country is one example of this, as a tendency of Japanese people to spend 20 minutes at ATMs paying bills. Likewise, there's still a strong preference for formal-looking paper documentations and physical cash through digital consumer payments and have become a much more popular in recent years. Tap and pay debit/cards. And payment apps like PayPay and similar to Cash App with Near in 2024, and then there's traditional gift envelopes and containing crisp and new and so on and so on and so on payment systems in Japan. But yeah, that's the Japanese CBDC. But the next one is even better, because the next news I'm going to be sharing you is International Monetary Fund, IMF, upbeat as 19 nations in the Middle East and Central Asia explore CBDCs. On what level they're at regarding their CBDCs is the next part we're going to be going through on this live show. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section. There's probably a lot of comments to go through, and then we're going to read that news. By the way, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show. I do this live show every single night on X Live and YouTube Live. This is episode 44 you're watching right now. Every single night you can tune into this episode. You can tune into this live show on X or on YouTube, depending on where you're watching this from. And 11:25 p.m. UK time, this live show starts. We talk about recent events. We talk about what's happening inside the financial world, CBDC world, blockchain world, political world, because it all factors into one. And it's a way, if you tune into this live show every single night, you can see things coming 10 miles down the road before they happen. If you tune into this live show every single night, you'll be well ahead of everybody else around you. Because I talk about things that matter. I talk about things that you should know about, which you don't. Now, before we do that, let's go into the comment section. We are all part of the... thanks. All the government... People still think that their taxes pay for services. That's true as well. Greedy will always be needy. Fools accepting CBDCs. 15 cities. Greed and controls is humanity's downfall. Yep, it is. Greed is the worst thing for humanity. Once you're a billionaire and need nothing, what's next? Godlike control. Unfortunately, one would think that the dollar was created for the gas and air. CBDCs are created from the laptop. Joe Biden needs the votes. And Joe Biden needs the votes as well regarding that as well, immigrations. But yeah, hello Miles, thank you brother. But there's a bigger picture behind it. There's always multiple scenarios of why this is happening. Where are you? Hello Miles, I'm back. Oh, I see you. Let's go. Their movement is create a problem, then create the solution, then be heroes. Exactly. Yes. We're back. Section 702. Or on to you, bro. Let's go. Thank you brother. Mouse tether broke and floated off. Yep. Yes. Oops, sorry, I was cleaning my laptop. Long. No problem, Shelly. Shops wouldn't take cash, was card only. So what happens to CBDCs when the power goes down? Thoughts. What happens to CBDCs when the power goes down? Offline CBDCs. They don't need internet to work. Frequency, NFC frequency, radio frequency works with offline CBDCs. You don't need internet for them to work. It's the reason why they were created, offline CBDCs. So maybe one day offline CBDCs can come and save the day. Who knows what their plan is next? Which I talked about that as well in previous live shows. But now, International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund upbeat as 19 nations in the Middle East and Central Asia explore CBDCs. New research shows 19 countries in the Middle East and Central Asia are now exploring whether to launch central bank digital currencies. with the International Monetary Fund declaring they could promote financial conclusion if they address the inherent efficiencies of the payment system. The International Monetary Fund says access to bank accounts in the region is below the global average, and CBDCs that can operate offline will be crucial, which is perfect timing on your on your question as well. Basically, so what happens to CBDCs when the power goes down? Well, I'm about to tell you right now, but also regarding NFC's work as well. No internet needed for offline CBDC, so no radio same frequency. So no radios. No, there won't be the same frequency. I'll tell you now. Okay, while the population, sorry, the International Monetary Fund says access to bank accounts in the region is below the average, below the global average, and CBDCs can operate offline. Will be crucial if they're to be successfully used in low income areas with low or no internet access or conflicted affected economies. While the population is digitally savvy, data within the study suggests that encouraging consumers to switch to a CBDC may be an uphill struggle. Just 40% of payments in the Middle East and Central Asia were made digitally in 2021, with an underdeveloped systems and higher informality leading to a resilience on cash. The region lags behind East Asia as well as Latin America and the Caribbean in this regard. A greater proportion of digital payments are also made in sub-Saharan Africa, where mobile money services are especially popular. The International Monetary Fund economist warns that such digital assets should not be treated as a panacea for economic challenges, adding, this is what they said word for word. CBDCs may also not be able to overcome existing barriers to financial conclusions, such as those due to limited identifications and financial literacy, low wealth, and high informality. Proposed workarounds to the issue of a limited identification include a tiered selection of wallets with different limits for holding balances and transactions. So if you're poor and you're living in one of these Middle Eastern countries and you're not doing too well financially, they're going to be putting limits on you. And, obviously your identification needs to be there as well. Otherwise, they can't give you a digital wallet, because how is they supposed to know who they're controlling? With money. A tiered selection of wallets with different limits for holding balances and transactions, allowing for greater autonomy. Not really. For lower limits. Not really. Nonetheless, another area of popularity highlighted by the report centers on remittances, with flows to MECA nations hitting $447 billion in 2021. Cash is the main instrument used when foreign workers are sending funds home to their loved ones. And although the cost of using banks and money transfers operates is below the global average, fees still stand at about 5%. That means that families lose $10 for every $200 they receive, a figure that could be lowered considerably through a CBDC. If the $447 billion is taken as a whole, that's $22 billion that could be injected into local economies. They're saying if you use CBDCs, obviously, lower fees. So it's better to be using CBDCs, especially for local communities. As the International Monetary Fund explains in this report, this is what they said, word for word again from the International Monetary Fund. CBDCs have the potential to advance financial inclusion by creating more competition for consumers and allowing for transactions to be settled more directly through reduced intermediations, thereby lowering the cost of financial services and making them more accessible. Unlike commercial banks, the lack of profit motives by the central bank can also help costs lower. By the way, they're trying to say, CBDCs are going against the central banks, or going against the banks is what CBDCs is. The central bank is the one releasing the CBDC. So how are you going against it? They're trying to say, if you use CBDCs, you're going against the banks, you're going against the central banks, we the people are CBDCs. What moron is signing up for that one? The central bank is the one giving out the CBDC. As 19 countries across the Middle East and Central Asia pursue the development of CBDCs, one key question is this: what technology are they turning to? A recurring theme in the region relates to whether countries should build their own infrastructure internally or depend on open source or private alternatives. According to the International Monetary Fund, permissioned DLT platforms are proving popular as they allow central banks to retain key controls. Ripple, in other words. For example, Iran has little choice but to use open source platforms as the US has been aggressive in sanctioning businesses involved in exporting American technology to the state's central banks. The digital real runs on permissioned DLT called Bona that's been built on using open source Hyperledger Fabric. The Hyperledger Fabric. Bank of International Settlements is the one creating that one. And there is a little to stop this from happening. Meanwhile, Egypt has obtained to join a global blockchain initiative led by R3. R3 is XDC. If you're wondering who that is, Egypt, R3, XDC. As it tries to address the technological challenges brought up by CBDC design, the deep-pocketed United Arab Emirates has been outsourcing specific elements of its central bank digital currency to select partners. It says R3, Corda's platform, is an ideal foundation technology, XDC, for issuing and distributing CBDCs, with the local firm's G42 Cloud also tapped to play a critical role in the successful deployment and adoption of the digital dirham. So R3 for the retail section, which is XDC for the retail section in the United Arab Emirates, XRP for the institutional section. International Monetary Fund authorities were especially complimentary about Ripple Labs, interesting enough, noting its cutting-edge platform has been used to establish a live pilot. This country's Georgia previously said that its main motivation for digital lorry is to foster financial conclusion. But there is a wider issue that needs to be discussed. While the International Monetary Fund does not notes that existing cross-border payment systems are prone to friction, primarily due to fragmented data and a lack of interoperability between platforms, there is a risk of history repeating itself as CBDCs go live. Careful attention must be paid to ensuring that the shiny new permissioned DLTs can talk to each other, with funds moving from one jurisdiction to another seamlessly. Ripple will solve that issue, there's no problem with that one. The report concludes that countries that are in the Middle East and Central Asia have the potential to become leaders and pioneers in CBDC technology. But given that blockchain and distributed ledger technology remains relatively new solutions, and there are limited innovators that the region can look essentially to for comparison and guidance, the International Monetary Fund believes that decisions made by the earliest stages of the pilot project could determine how successful a digital currency turns out to be. The choice of a CBDC technologies could have far-reaching implications for the efficiency, security, and resilience of payment systems centered around digital currencies. Overall, the report strikes an optimistic but cautious tone about the prospects of CBDCs in the Middle East and Central Asia. Key questions left unanswered include whether the benefits would outweigh the costs, whether such assets could jeopardize existing financial institutions, and whether the same results will be there. Well, it's a very simple answer: control, control, control. There we go. I answered all three questions. As I said previously, it's nothing that you can run away from. You can't get away from CBDCs. You cannot run away from CBDCs. The best thing you can do, adapt ASAP, not to CBDCs. Adapt to crypto. The opposite of CBDCs is crypto, but legitimate crypto. Not Pepe's cousin or Pepe's uncle, or the zoo animal tokens like camel token and cat token and so on and so on. The legitimate projects. You need to keep your focus where it matters. Stop letting exchanges and morons inside the crypto space distract you with cute little, funky looking meme coin tokens with a thousand quadrillion suppliers. Stop losing focus. If you're inside the crypto space, stop losing focus. If you're in the retail section and you want to get out of the retail section, stop focusing on comedy looking tokens and start focusing on legitimate tokens. Okay? Because the tides are turning and the institutions are coming, the banks are coming, the regulations are coming, and you want to be positioned in a good position. And if you want to get out of the retail, if you want to go for a quick buck, then obviously you can go for the meme coins. If you want to go for a quick buck, go into the meme coins. Hope you make it. Who knows? But if you're looking for a generational wealth type of situation where you, your future kids, your future kids, your future kids, your future kids, your future, you can see where this is going. Essentially, will never have to work a day in their life. You know which side you should be going towards inside the crypto sector. If you're looking for a quick buck, I hope you make it inside the comedy section, which is, you know, Pepe's uncle and so on, and the camel token and frog token and cat token. I hope you make it through that clown section over there. The majority of them will just dump on you. You might make it through one of them as a 1 in a billion shot. You have a better chance of winning the lottery than making it inside of a meme coin or becoming a millionaire. But or you can just keep your focus on where it matters, because we're almost there now. You know, all these years, we're pretty much there now. And as I said, you know, as I read out the news, you know, BlackRock, head of digital assets, Robert, coming out and saying money is about to be entering the markets from every angle. Nobody's paying attention to it from the retail section. That's BlackRock, Robert, head of digital assets, explaining that money is about to be heading towards the crypto markets from every angle in the coming months. Nobody's paying attention to it. Ripple case. Some people hate Ripple, some people like Ripple, some people don't even know what it is. I just can't, you know, the idea of hating on a project makes zero sense to me. The idea of loving a project also makes zero sense to me as well. I've always said, you know, don't support crypto projects like it's a football team or a religion. It's just numbers and, you know, digits on the screen. I care about the technology that they're producing. I care about the PDF documentations, the contracts, and so on. That's all I care about. But, you know, we talked about how close we're getting to CBDCs. What project do you know that's involved in CBDCs? I've just given you a list of 19 countries with the International Monetary Fund of how close they are essentially getting to CBDCs. I've just told you Japan is getting to CBDCs. According to the Atlantic report about, you know, even the Bank of International Settlements, even the International Monetary Fund, we're about 98%. 98% of the world is pretty much into CBDCs, either testing, researching, implementation of testing, and so on. How many crypto projects do you know that do CBDCs? 98%. Nobody's hearing these numbers. 98%. 98% of the world is in CBDCs. 24,000 crypto projects. Who does CBDCs? The retail section's focus is all over the place. But also, you know, again, you know, BlackRock's best buddies coming in, BNP essentially coming in. So BlackRock's BNP coming in, buying BlackRock shares conveniently as BlackRock is, you know, sold off $36 million. $36 million from BlackRock is absolutely a joke amount of money of outflows from BTC ETFs. But as BlackRock is having that $36 million sell-off, BlackRock's body comes out of nowhere, BNP, second largest, you know, bank, essentially asset manager coming out from European markets, going for BlackRock shares. BlackRock's head of assets talking about in the coming months, humongous amount of money is about to be entering the crypto space. Hong Kong going across the border to expand on their range on BTC ETFs and Ethereum ETFs from Bahrain, who holds the actual money. You can see where the markets are turning their tides now. And as I said previously, more banks, just like this one, the European bank that came out of nowhere that hated cryptocurrencies, and back in 2022 and 2024, they love cryptocurrencies. They're going for BlackRock BTC ETF shares. And that's not the only bank. A lot of banks have entered the crypto space as well. But you know, as I've said previously, more banks, more institutions, more regulations, and those are some more examples I just read out today are coming towards the crypto space. And in the coming months, according to BlackRock, we should be on the upside as well, head of digital assets. It also goes back to what I said. Every year, we're going to go higher and higher and higher for legitimate projects, because every year we're going to have more banks, more institutions, more licensings, more regulations, which means projects that are legitimate are going to get fatter and fatter and fatter. It depends on the adoption rate of money coming into them as we progress upwards. And the useless projects will be progressing downwards. And the historic patterns will mean absolutely nothing. I mean, historic patterns technically still mean absolute squat, because the markets aren't playing out the way they're supposed to be. We're supposed to be having massive dumps when we're not, and we're supposed to be having massive ups when we're not. And the market's all over the place because the institutions are coming in and disrupting the entire flow of the market space on historic patterns, because they're buying and holding, which is a big issue. Which is, you know, now BlackRock selling $36 million after getting billions into them is an absolute joke of outflows. But it's enough to make the market squeeze. It's enough to put a tight squeeze on the market. Oh no, BlackRock's selling. They're selling $36 million. They have billions in their BTC ETF fund. And they're selling a $36 million sell-off from billion-dollar fund. Cute is what I would call inside the corporate sector. but it's enough to draw attention. That's all that matters, because the public market will do the rest for the damage. But anyways, we're on the upside. We're looking on the upside in general. We're looking towards the upside. We're going to be going higher and higher and higher. This year is going to be an absolutely amazing year in terms of the crypto market. This year is going to be absolutely crazy. And as long as we still don't have rate cuts and the American economy is not doing too well, because we're not going to have rate cuts and the economy is pretty much flatline and staying where it is, then obviously, cryptocurrencies will still then be seen as a hedge against traditional assets, which is also good as well. Now, let me go to the comment section. Shops want to take cash either? Yeah, a lot of shops don't, because we're getting close to CBDCs. I've always said to you, if you're wondering how close we are to CBDCs, remember those banks that used to be near your home and no longer are there, or those cash points or ATMs that used to be near your home or near your workplace that aren't there anymore? That's an indication of how close you are to CBDCs. So if you ever wondered how far is the country you're living in to CBDCs, just reimagine, where the banks used to be, or where the cash points used to be, or all those businesses that used to accept cash, and you can imagine how close you are to CBDCs in your own jurisdiction. Because a lot of places don't accept cash anymore, and we haven't even got to CBDCs. Seems like they're preparing for something. And they said they can coexist. Cash and CBDCs can coexist. Of course they can. Of course cash and CBDCs can coexist. That's why, the majority of shops don't accept cash. We're not even in CBDCs yet. That's why most banks close down. Because, well, again, we're not even in CBDCs yet. It's because, most cash points disappeared. Again, we're not even in CBDCs yet. As an indication of how close you are, the best indication you ever need to get of how close your jurisdiction is to CBDCs. I see you. So offline CBDCs will have been saved to a digital drive first. I'll tell you how they work. I see you will need a chip in your I see in general. The Baxo safe to trust money to a KuCoin. I've used Baxo, no issues with that. Good night, Professor Miles, as I have to get up early. Thank you for another free lesson. No problem, Frankie Brother, anytime. Hold up, does HSBC utilize XRP? Yes. Frankie Brother creating Ripple Payments, which has access to the XRP ledger. BlackRock creating a chip for your government's bringing a CBDC. Put two and two together, you will get rich. It is not. I'm just reading the comment section. It is not the utilities is cross-border liquidity, DEX, escrow, coin creation, etc. I'm invested in 10,000 or 10,000 crypto, $1 each. I'm getting rich. I don't know what you're invested in. To be fair, Prince of Persia. Same goes for news distractions. Luck is preparation. That means opportunity not. Yeah, Prince of Persia, you need to be more, on which projects you're holding. I don't know. You need to give me an indication of what you're holding first. Same goes for the news distractions. Luck is preparation. That meets the opportunity not. Yep, exactly. Ripple, let's go. Anytime I mention it on the community page, they laugh at me and tell me I'm delusional. Well, I'll be honest, Shelly, you're not the delusional one. If you're inside, so what Shelley has just said is something that a lot of people are probably experiencing. Anytime I mention, so this is what Shelley said inside the comment section. Anytime I mention it on a community page, they laugh at me and tell me I'm delusional. So anytime Shelley mentions CBDCs, I'm guessing people laugh at her and call her delusional. Again, you're not the delusional one. And if you're someone like Shelley, who is, seeing all this happen, you're not the delusional one. You're actually the one that's awake and is using, functioning brain cells. The people that aren't, questioning things are the ones that have the exact same brain cells as a goldfish. Because if you're not questioning, why is that bank closing down? Or why is NatWest Bank closed a lot of branches? Why is Barclays closed a lot of branches? Why is Lloyd's closed a lot? HSBC, the list just goes on, Santander. Why are cash points disappearing? Why is a lot of businesses not accepting cash? What is this CBDC? If you're not questioning these things and you're just living your life as eat, sleep, shit, then your life's going to be on CBDCs and good luck to you. So I'll tell you right now, you're not the delusional ones because you're the ones with functioning brain cells asking these questions. The ones not asking questions and just living their life as I said, eat, sleep, shit, are basically the ones that have brain cells compared to goldfish. So Shelly, you're not the delusional one. They are. Because they're not asking the questions they should be. Of why is that bank closing? Why is that cash point disappearing? What is CBDCs? How do they function? What's their purpose? Are they going to take over cash? So trust me, you're definitely not the delusional one. They're the ones that are going to be left on CBDCs and be poor and peasants for the rest of their lives. But some people have to wash the Ferrari, some people get to drive the Ferrari. That's why I've dropped 95% of my daily conversations. If you know, you know. Just like when Gary Gensler said crypto, Bitcoin is black market, now he's changed his tone. Yep, basically. And the best part is, the people that aren't in crypto, and they say crypto is a scam, BlackRock is inside crypto. For me, I didn't need BlackRock inside the crypto space to understand what crypto is. But for some people, names and brands matter. If somebody's, still questioning the crypto space till this day, BlackRock is in crypto. JP Morgan is in crypto. Goldman Sachs in crypto. Vanguard in crypto. Fidelity in crypto. HSBC in crypto. Standard Chartered Bank in crypto. Santander Bank in crypto. HSBC Bank into crypto. Lloyds Bank into crypto. TSB Bank into crypto. Bank of Scotland into crypto. Centralized banks into crypto. Bank of International Settlements, the banks of all central banks, 63 centralized banks into crypto. And then you have, Bob and Bill or people around you saying, oh, crypto's a scam. Of course it is. Of course crypto's a scam. That's why you have a list of massive corporations filling their bags and then feeding you morons on the news, crypto's a scam, crypto's bad. While those people get filthy rich, filling up their bags and then feeding you moronic news and saying crypto's a scam. Of course it is. That's why BlackRock's going for it, because obviously we know BlackRock is a moron. Anybody that goes and buys crypto, because crypto's a scam, that means BlackRock doesn't know what they're doing. BlackRock is a moron for buying crypto. So is Fidelity, so is Goldman Sachs, so is JP Morgan, so is Citibank, so is NatWest, and the list just goes on. They're all morons. Why are they buying crypto? Of course. The regular average Joe is correct. Crypto is a scam because that average Joe knows what he's talking about. You see when the tables are turned, how much of a moron that person looks like? You have a list of massive corporations filling their pockets and then telling you on the news, don't go for crypto. Now the average Joe goes, yep, crypto's bad. What a moron. That's why I've dropped 5% of my daily conversation. Yep, you know, and work a bit. Yep. Even a lady went into ANZ Bank in Australia to get cash out as her card wasn't working in the ATM, and the bank told her they can't help her as they had no cash. It's like, wake up, can't you see what's happening? Facts. What Shelley said. I want my children to inherit land and way of living community, not a brand luxury goods or created to keep the poor poor. Why I can't buy crypto from KuCoin directly? Why I have to go through third party? The reason why you have to go through third parties to buy crypto is because your jurisdiction doesn't want you to buy it directly. They want to make life difficult for you. They want to make life difficult for you to be able to buy cryptocurrencies as time goes by. So either you're in crypto or you're not. And if you're not, good luck to you. Honestly, if you're not inside cryptocurrencies and the right projects, the financial projects that matter, the ones that corporations are interested in, okay, not the shiny, goofy looking logos on these meme coins, no, the genuine projects. If you're positioned well, you have a lifetime wealth headed towards you. But again, I always tell people, people who ask me some words I can't mention on you, but anyways, you want to be focus. Put your focus where it matters. A lot of things are headed your way. As time goes by, a lot of things are going to get stricter on you being able to enter the crypto space. So either you're in crypto or you're not, and if you're not, you're on CBDCs. And if you're on CBDCs, just kiss your entire life goodbye. Because if you want to know what CBDCs are, look at China, and should tell you everything that's headed towards your way. And if that still doesn't wake you up, then fuck me. Basically you're done for. I mean, you literally have no brain cells. Why I can't? Why? There we go. Distractions look one way. Why we do something else? That piece of paper is your hand is scam. Yeah, basically. Now we have also come to the endings of this live show. Now on this live show, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the International Monetary Fund. We talked about the International Monetary Fund. Some of this third party, they freeze your money and ask for more documents. It's because of KYC. They're trying to make it strict as possible regarding KYC in terms of AML, anti-money laundering laws. So on tonight's live show, we talked about a lot of things for anybody that just tuned in late. And by the way, I just want to say, if you're watching this for the first time ever, you can tune into this live show every single night. This was episode 44 of the CMF live show. Episode 44 of the CMF live show on X Live and YouTube Live at the exact same time. That's why the comment section is mixed with YouTube and X. So you can talk to people. And we have an amazing community of people called the CMF, basically. And anybody's more than welcome to join them. It's completely free. Everything I provide is completely free of source. Every single night, you can tune into this live show, communicate with amazing people from around the world. And it's all for free. No money involved whatsoever. No promotions, no money, no programs, no nothing. Education should always remain free. And everything I provide is completely free of source. We also have a Telegram group as well. Again, free. Telegram group. The link is on my X. If you're watching this on X on Twitter, the link is on my profile. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link is on my profile as well. And anybody's more than welcome to join it. Amazing group of people all around the world. We have different backgrounds, different jobs all around the world, and you can always ask them questions, bounce off ideas, bounce off projects, bounce off news of them, and they'll always help you out, no problem whatsoever. So if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This has been episode 44 of the CMF live show. Now, good night, Miles and family. Great live, brilliant. Have a good one. MLR, let's go. Ian, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. So on this live show, if you just missed it, the gist was we talked about Thailand CBDC, on what level they're progressing at, Japan CBDC, 19 other Middle Eastern CBDCs on what their progress is according to the International Monetary Fund. We talked about Hong Kong going towards Bahrain to boost their BTC ETF funds. We talked about the asset management company BlackRock, who announced essentially the head of digital assets, Robert, said that there's a lot of money entering from every angle into the crypto space. That came out from Robert, BlackRock, head of digital assets. We talked about the European banking giant BNP, who entered the crypto space as well, and who went for BlackRock ETFs, essentially, at a perfect timing when there was a little bit of a sell-off. And they are massive, massive. BNP Paribas, massive. Within the European markets, second largest. And they entered the crypto space as well. We also talked about the key developments inside the crypto US legislations on tonight's live show as well. We also talked about the crypto-friendly reps that are going essentially for spot Bitcoin ETFs and trying to back more ETFs, back more on Bitcoin options or futures and so on, and sending a letter. These are representatives sending letters to the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, to get him to greenlight it. These are government representatives sending letters to the SEC chairman to greenlight other Bitcoin features, for example. And we also talked about Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, talking about how Iran should not be using cryptocurrencies, but they have no issues with US dollars. But if Iran wants to use Bitcoin, all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. But if they want to use Bitcoin, if they want to use USD, they don't really care about it. We also talked about Coinbase's quarter one reports on earnings. Coinbase is doing incredibly well inside the United States markets and outside the United States, while as Binance, on the other hand, is doing the opposite. We also talked, and it's because Coinbase is going to be taken over Binance because it's an American institution, and well, we know how that works out. The US is always the dominant market space. We also talked about Tether and chain analysis and how the chain analysts and Tether are coming together to be able to control wallets and freeze and seize wallets a lot more quicker on Tether, who use their USDT to fund illicit activities. We also talked about a very interesting piece of news regarding BlackRock and Tether, how Tether has funded $200 million into BlackRock's Neuro project, which is basically how Elon Musk has his own Neuro project, where you implant a chip inside of your brain. BlackRock has their own project as well, which is a neuro chip that you plant inside of your brain, and you can, move your arm, move your legs if you're paralyzed, and you can drive your car with your thoughts. Now that's the BlackRock neuro tech chip that they're going to be putting in people's brains. So you have Elon Musk as an option to put nano chips in your brain, or you have BlackRock as an option. And the reason why Tether is obviously investing $200 million into this is because, well, Tether wants to do some business with BlackRock, and if they fund one of their ventures, it will go well for them. They're hoping for, because their days are numbered when it comes to Tether. And we also talked about MicroStrategy, how they created this new platform called Orange, which is this new feature they've designed on the Bitcoin network, where it's decentralized ID system and has so many features regarding this Orange program they designed the Bitcoin network. And we talked about the various aspects of it, and we talked about on tonight's live show regarding Ripple versus SEC's response. May 6th is going to be a little bit crucial to see what happens on May 6th. We also talked about Ripple versus SEC lawsuit and how Ripple has sent out a recent letter to get some things dismissed of the case again. So those are all the things that we cover in tonight's live show. But big things are headed for the crypto markets. Massive things are headed towards the crypto markets in the coming months, according to BlackRock head of digital assets, Robert. From every angle, money is about to be entering the crypto space in the coming months, according to Robert, BlackRock head of digital assets. And also BNP coming to the play as well, another big player. Revolut is a good on and off ramp. So again, honestly, if you enjoyed this live show, tune into this live show every single night, where I update you about what's happening around the world, about news you should actually know about. And you could also grow and expand your knowledge of what's actually happening around the world on terms of money, in terms of finance, politics, cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, and what the progress levels are. Revolut is a good and on-off ramp. Yeah, it's a good one. COVID is still a thing in China, Skynet. Yep. Good night, Miles and family. Great live, brilliant. Ian, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. When is the Discord going live? Is Discord going live? We're working on it. Our BNP headquarters in France, Miles. Yep. Macron's wife is a man, same as. Good night, Miles. Mike, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Thanks, Miles. Telling it straight. Let's go, Shelly. Shelly, see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. No problem. At any time. What about Binance? Can I buy directly or need third party again? Can't really trust this third party option. Binance, you can go directly. There's no problems with Binance. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Same as Tesla, data collection is the main business, not cars, basically. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great news, Miles. Thanks. Free forever. See you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. No problem. Good night, brother. Good night, brother. And CMF. Billo, see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. Free forever. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. Coin, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Scott, thanks, Miles. No problem. See you tomorrow. Same time as usual. Liam, night CMF. Liam, see you tomorrow sometime as usual, brother. Great show, Miles. Susie, thank you so much. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. I appreciate all that you do for our family and group. Scott, let's go. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. And honestly, I want to say thank you so much to everybody from the CMF that retweeted this live show as well, because it does help to spread the CMF live show so we can reach more people and be able to help out a lot more people inside the crypto space and people who aren't inside the crypto space. So thank you so much to everybody from the CMF that retweets these live shows on X every single night, especially this live show, because we did cover quite a lot of things on this live show. So thank you so much to everyone that retweeted this live show as well. Now, we've reached the endings of this live show, which we're going to be doing the outro of this live show, as I always do. So thank you so much to everybody that's tuned into this live show. I appreciate all that you do for our family and group. Let's go, Scott. Scott, thank you so much. See you tomorrow, brother. Same time as usual. Stay strong, people. Don't sell, is what Liam said. Let's go. No financial advice, obviously. Thank you so much to everybody from the CMF and everybody else that was new watching this live show as well. Thanks so much to everybody from the CMF that was tapping on the screen on YouTube, tapping on the screen on X. And thank you so much to everybody that retweeted this live show. 3.4K on YouTube now as well. Let's go. Shelly, thank you so much for the update. That's amazing, honestly. Let's go. Thank you, Shelly. I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. And again, if you're watching this for the first time ever, you enjoyed it, drop a follow, drop a like. Tune in every single night. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual.